so much to talk about. Wow, what an understatement. Never have I thought in my life the term elections have consequences. Never have I thought to say that to the people who got what they wanted on election day. Usually you say that to the people who didn't get what they wanted because they're going to get moved around. I think those people who voted and didn't get what they wanted, I think they understand how fully the impact of the elbows going into the rib cage for at least the next 4 years is going to be. Those who voted and got what they wanted, I think some of them might be in for a surprise. They might have too much hubris in them to ever admit to. And that's a problem. Like, I'm fine. You're bleeding out of your mouth and nose and ears. I'm fine. No, you just lost a leg. I am fine. Your house is on fire. No, it's not. I'm fine. And so I think there will be a bit of that. And so it's not for me to tell you a bunch of sexy switched on adults what's what with politics, in that you made your decision, you voted, or you didn't. I mean, that's, well, if you look at the statistics in America, about 45% of eligible voters in this country did not vote. That's a problem. I don't know how you cure that. I don't know how many more times you can beat on gongs and beg people to get out and vote. I don't know what more you can do. So many people work so hard on phone banks, door to door, everything, begging people to get out and vote. You make your decision, you do or you don't. So now we can move on and stop talking about, well, he's better than Hillary. That's over. Even the comparison, you'll never get to make it. That's over with. Now you have an outgoing president and a president-elect. And I'm not going to get on the topic for too long because, like I said, you know what you know and you know as much as I do. And you're a switched-on adult, and I'm an adult. And most of the time. And so here's what I've noticed today. I've watched Mr. Trump, the president-elect. I've watched his body language change. I sat up till about 5 o'clock the other morning, watched Mr. Trump make his acceptance speech, and I think it was not exhaustion. I don't think he was on a sedative. I think his lower tone of voice and his heavy-liddedness, I think it was a person about to have a heart attack. I think it's someone who really finally understands the density and the size of the chunk of meat that he has just torn off. And who was sitting today in the Oval Office with President Obama when he said, I thought this meeting would last 10 or 15 minutes. That is the mark of a child in a suit. There is not one thing that is presidential that you can get in and out of, including a men's room, in 10 or 15 minutes. I sat here with the president for 90 minutes, like that was a big deal. I don't think this man understands that 90 minutes is gonna be like 9 minutes any other time. He's going to have to do a lot of reading. He's gonna have to sit in meetings that are so boring, only someone like Hillary Clinton could have stood them. He's gonna have to spend the entire weekends doing things he does not want to do. He's going to be cutting ribbons. He's going to be holding babies. He's going to be going, wow, that's fantastic. The way you made that ashtray. Did you do that yourself? Chelsea? Wow, that's a fantastic thing you made. How many more schools am I going to today? 16. You're the president. Shouldn't I be on vacation? You're the president. And any vacation you're going to go on, there'll be opposition research going, you're going on vacation, you're lazy. It's Christmas Day. I want to shoot hoops in my driveway. You're lazy. You should be back at the White House doing the work of the people. No matter what president goes anywhere, they're lazy. Barack Obama has the temerity to play golf in December on Christmas holiday. Well, what's up with that? And you see the guy barely left the White House. He's like the most non-leaving the White House president we'll ever have in our lifetime. He's lazy. Well, you know those Kenyans. And so, I watched today, and they played the same footage over and over and over again as the Mr. Trump and his wonderful wife Melania went in to meet the president, went in to meet people that he's going to be dealing with at the Capitol building. And that's when it occurred to me, I should look up the word neophyte to make sure I really understand what it is. Because I know it, but if I walk on stage with it, I want to be able to go like, ah, I really did my homework. Please look up that word if you get a chance. That describes Mr. Trump and the job he just walked into. Wow, and some of you I know are Donald Trump fans, and I think that's fantastic. And congratulations on your win. With no irony, I don't even know the gender of those hand claps. I'm just saying, I congratulate you on your win. You voted, you got what you got. And to Mr. Trump's credit, I think he was himself every single time he spoke. You might like what he said, you might not like what he said, but I think you got the real Donald Trump every single time he got up and orated. The same can maybe not be said about Ms. Clinton. In that, I've never been the biggest fan. I always thought she was trying to get me to like her, and there's a thing that she did that always bugged me, and maybe I'll be seeing it a lot less now, when she'd walk out on the stage and her eyes would suddenly bulge out of her head. She's like, she doesn't have any friends! Do you understand that? She's a replicant political operative. They don't put her to sleep at night, they boot her down. And in the morning they reboot her, they try and put in analog software into her hard drive, so she kind of seems like a human. And you people be like, she's pointing at you. Oh, no, dude, she's pointing at you. She's pointing at you. She's pointing at the general area. I'm down on my seat, she's not pointing at me. She's pointing at you. I don't want to be on that jumbotron. Oh, no. But at least Donald Trump did it his way. And the fact that he didn't release his tax returns, I think that's so punk rock. Like, bite your knee to see my tax returns. And I think it's a very angry country we live in, and I don't think it got any better. And I think all the protests I saw on all the streets all over the U.S. today, I think it's a really bad idea. Because I don't think it's really great to be somewhere where they are taking high-definition photos of your face to put on file. I don't think it's great to walk around and get arrested and have to spend like $4,000 just getting back to your crap apartment because you can't handle American democracy. I can handle American democracy. I am married to American democracy. That is to say, for better or for worse. I vote, and I'm used to not getting what I want. Oh, am I used to not getting what I want. And if I ever meet Donald Trump on the street, I say, how do you do, Mr. President? With full respect, that's what I would do with any president, ex-president, president-elect. They get my full respect because I will not denigrate the office. And just because I'm not down with the person in it, hey, I'm used to 8 years at a time of people I'm not enthralled with or enthusiastic about, and I'm ready for another 4 or 8 years more of it. And so I'm not here to talk to you about politics because it's boring and you know what you know, and you know more than what I know. And so hopefully, if you've ever endured me before, you know that I never lay out a problem that doesn't have, where I don't have a solution for it. I never go, this sucks, and walk away, because that's weak. So if I say, here's a problem, I always say, here's a solution. And so here's a problem in this country. We have a lot of angry people and a lot of angry, underinformed people. Here's a solution. You've always been the solution. The electorate is always the solution. I think you have both sides of the aisle. Everyone's pissed off. A lot of people, I think I might be the last person who likes Barack Obama. I think I might be his last fan. I will dig that guy till the day I die. To me, so maybe there's 35 of us who still like him. I think he was cool under pressure. I think he really wanted to make some changes, and I think he now looks like Tutankhamun. That guy looks so tough. He's like, and I can't wait to see him in a floral shirt in Hawaii, taking the biggest bomb rips ever. I want to see that. I want to see that. There's a presidential bomb. He's got the seal of the president on the bomb. Put that sleep record on one more time. That's so bad, like, more pizza, please. He deserves a break. Anyway, and so we've got problems, here's some solutions. Let me point out some problems in this country, and no, this won't be super serious because who needs that, especially getting so close to the weekend. Problems in this country: homophobia, racism, and misogyny. 3 big ones. And who's the problem? Not you, none of you, because A, you're cool. B, you didn't invent it. So what's the problem? Old prejudices, old bigotry, stupid ignorance being dragged in from a previous century into a century that's not as new as it used to be. It's 2016, it's not 2000. And so if this century was a person, it would look like me. The staining on the teeth starting to get a little smaller, softening of the bones, the osteoporosis is starting to set, AARP, but still a little spring in its step. If this century was a house you'd see stain on the carpet, visible wear on the upholstery. So why in the freest, bravest, most kick-ass rock and roll country in the world do you still have homophobia, racism, and misogyny, and people who don't want to know? Xenophobia, people who don't want to travel. I don't need a passport. Find any country on the map we are in a conflict with right now. Find Yemen. You find Yemen. No, I already know where Yemen is. Go, you find it. There. That's Kentucky. Try again. And so, I hate to broad brush this, but it's kind of fun. Hopefully you'll dig the inherent humor. Maybe not. Don't get mad. What's the problem in this country? Old bastards. That's it. Old people. Old bastards. No. I'm not saying let's take Grandpa out in February and leave him on a street corner. Don't do it! I'm cold! You won't be for long, Grandpa. You won't be for long. The last few minutes of your life, when the endorphins, the adrenaline kicks in, it's going to be like the last few pages of the Jack London short story to build a fire. You're going to be okay, but you're going to stop voting, and you're going to stop saying really stupid things, and you're going to stop bequeathing a planet that's getting ever warmer to a bunch of young people and screwing up their lives and screwing up the future, because when you were young, you used to hand crank your ice cream. Your ideas are old and irrelevant. You need to shut up. But I don't want to shut up. Well, then stop coming to Thanksgiving, because all you do is sick eye on the fireplace and then face plant on the living room table after 9 shots of vodka. So something has to change. And so it's the change switched on young people basically saying no more of this on my watch. And so I love young people because they're going to be carting me around by this time next year. The next time I see you in this theater 4 years from now, there'll be a blanket on stage, and you'll wonder why. And you'll wonder why there's a plate with a single graham cracker with a juice box next to it. That'll be for me! That's mine for the lie down halfway through the show. I'll need it. I'll be 88,000 years old. And so I have a lot of enthusiasm for young people, but sometimes they let me down. Here's what happened the other day. A weather system they named Matthew. I really don't like naming weather systems. Don't humanize a weather system. Like, Matthew's coming to town. Matthew's going to kill people. So don't call it Matthew. Just say, here comes a thing that's going to ruin lives and jack up insurance premiums, because that's how it is. Don't name it Matthew. My agent's name is Matthew. I kind of like that guy. And so don't name it that. But anyway, Matthew wiped out the first 4 of my shows on this leg of the tour because they're all in Florida. And so I had this weird 4 days off the road, which was very unsettling. I jumped out of South Africa, landed in Los Angeles, was supposed to be for 44 hours to do a lot of things, and go to Florida to meet my Bon Jovi Mobile, my Def Leppard Express, my mobile carbon footprint making machine is rumbling away as part of the problem out in the parking lot. I was supposed to be out in Florida, boom, and then the weather changed, and I got delayed. Anyway, I get on an airplane, I leave Los Angeles, I go to Texas, I get on another plane from Texas to Fort Lauderdale. I'm sitting in a 2-seat row. I'm in the aisle, a young man is sitting next to me. He's very polite. He introduces himself. He said, how do you do? I am, insert name here, I would respect his anonymity. And he said, I'm 20. And I don't know why he told me his age, but he did. He said, I am beep, and I'm 20. I said, I'm Henry, I'm 55 and a half. And he said, and a half? What are you, 7? I said, no, sir, I just stated that I'm 55 and a half. He said, but no one says and a half after the age of 7 or 8. That never occurred to me. And so maybe I'm just immature. I said, well, I'm just trying to be clear, young man. And he could not have been nicer. And so we're flying along, and I'm looking at that playing card size screen that's bolted into the seat in front of me, thinking, am I going to waste time? Am I going to kill an hour and a half of my life and watch the second presidential debate? The first one was a waste of time. All 3 of them were made for TV events that did not sway anyone's opinion. And I do not blame Fox News. I do not blame CNN or Bloomberg or Fox News for the mediocrity of news, the tepidness of it, the fact that when you watch an hour of Wolf Blitzer, you feel like you just drank 4 gallons of someone's old bathwater, and all you do is just watch his beard and go, wow, you are a very serious person giving me nothing. I blame O.J. Simpson for all of that. I blame O.J. Simpson for turning media outlets into ratings-based point-and-click, selling me tablets for restless leg snowflake syndrome and insurance. They don't want to give me news, they want to sell me stuff. And that started with O.J. Simpson. And here's another thing about that, and it's a side note, but it really bugs me, and I don't know if it bugs you too. And I can't tell you what to do because you're all grown up. But if you ever get a chance, on ESPN, they did an amazing, some of the best television I've ever seen. They did a 5-part series on O.J. Simpson, his life, the trial, and the aftermath. It's like 5 90-minute episodes, which I've watched about 1.5 times through. It is extraordinarily well done. And all through it, you see shots of the crime scene of Mr. Goldman and Miss Simpson, and it is horrific, as you remember. There's a lot of blood. It's so much blood, it doesn't even look real. It looks like some slasher film, but it's real, and it's awful. And it's a really good piece of TV, because not only do you learn more about the man, the trial, but you learn a lot about the country that you live in, racism, civil rights, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. It's quite good. At the same time, on some television station, they did the drama version of the O.J. saga with John Travolta looking like Kang from Star Trek. And they were able to mold that guy's face and glue some dead ferret onto his head and said, "Get out there and act, you weirdo." And he'll just do any damn thing. And so it won a lot of awards. Apparently it was really good. I watched like 20 minutes of it, nearly barfed. And so it was up for Emmys. And so I saw something that really offended me, and I wonder if it resonated with you. The woman who portrayed Marcia Clark, the fine actress, stood next to Marcia Clark on the red carpet at the Emmys with Emmys logos behind them, smiling and looking wonderful for the camera. And I'm not putting either person down. One's a fine actress, one is a great legal mind, but they're standing there doing the red carpet and getting... Damn it, Donald Trump is here, he's trying to silence me. Anyway, and so here are these two people at this really ritzy event standing there looking wonderful for the cameras. Why are they there? They're there because of a double homicide. And it's really easy to remember that. And I wonder if I was a member of the Goldman family or the Simpson family looking at these two very, very wonderful people standing there as people like, over here, over here. Like, you should be standing in blood. How about let's redress the photo and let's spray you with blood. And behind you should be blood splatter of arterial blood spray as a woman got damn near decapitated. Stand in a bunch of blood and run that photo. But don't look good on TV being famous because one guy hacked 2 people to pieces. Don't do that. But that's what this country does. We are able to take anything awful and turn it around. Okay? And this person over here, not trying to objectify you, but you just voted for a guy who said, hey, you can, when you're famous, you can just grab him by the pussy. That's what you voted for, and that's what we're all getting. And I'm not going to say thanks, I'm just saying we're all in this together now. Yes, sir, you too. Anyway, sorry, airplane. And so I'm thinking, am I going to watch the second presidential debate and get my what's left of my intelligence, all this much of it, insulted? Yes, and I caved in, and I shouldn't have done it, but I did it. And because I was bored of the book I was reading momentarily, I said, I'll give the book a rest. And I'll watch this. And I plugged in, and I watched the second presidential debate, and it sucked. And so I was watching it, and the most interesting thing happened. The young man tapped me on the shoulder. I unplugged it, and I said, yes? He said, I don't mean to bother you. Who's that man in the white hair they keep whipping the camera to? I said, that one? And he said, yeah. I said, his name is President Bill Clinton. And he went, oh, I've heard of him. Oh, good. Oh, good. That's good. That's good. That's fantastic. That's great. And he said, so how many terms did he get? I said, well, he got 2. He went, okay. Could he have gotten 3? He went, no, not since FDR. I went, okay, FDR. What's that? I went, well, some people call it a what? But some people would consider it a who or a whom. He was Franklin Delano Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. He served in office from 1933 to 1945 and died in April of 1945 while in office, beginning his 4th term. And in 1947, I believe it was, the 22nd Amendment passed through Congress. In 1951, it passed through the states, limiting a president to 2 elected terms of 4 years. He went, wow. You know a lot of stuff. I go, I don't. That's some real 101 stuff. That's just kind of going about the place you come from and paying taxes in every single year. He said, yeah, so did people like FDR? I said, now we're awake. That's a really interesting question. Some people liked him, some people hated his guts. And he said, why? I said, because he was changeful. He had a thing called the New Deal. He said, did you like him? I said, yeah, quite a fan. But he's an interesting guy. You can do a lot of research on the guy and find some things you might not like. But one of his greatest hits for me was a thing in 1938, I believe it was. It's called the Fair Labor Standards Act, which established a 40-hour work week, time and a half for overtime, and stopped children going into the mill to lose their little fingers in the combine like a character out of a Charles Dickens novel. And so he said, people were angry at that. I said, yes, he was seen as the anti-business president. It's like, how can you be anti-business if you're treating your employees well? I said, that's another good question, young man. We are waking up. I said, there are businesses that said that's anti-business to treat these people well, because then they'll start getting some self-worth. And then they'll start saying, hey, wait a minute, these working conditions are not really good. I'm breathing in sawdust. I haven't had a bathroom break in 7 hours. You have to be nicer to me. And you know what? I want to meet my kid one day. And so I want to have some weekends. In fact, you know what? I've been reading about this place called Hawaii. I'd like to go. And I want to save my money and take my family there for 72 hours of sun. No, go back into the sunless world of the sweatshop. No, thank you, FDR. There's people to this day who want to dig that body up and jump up and down on the dead rib cage. I hate your guts, I hate your guts. These aren't humans, they're employees. And so the young man looked at me and said, wow, that's really interesting. I said, well, I'm glad you think so. And then he looked at me and said, should I vote? I said, young man, that's an elective. He said, who should I vote for? I said, no, you'll never hear me tell you to vote. You'll never tell me who to vote for. I'll beg you to vote, but I would never tell you who to vote for. I wouldn't dare. Nor would I ever try and sway your opinion on anything that without, is this guy good or bad? Hey, youngster, you can read, turn on the internet, inform yourself. And that's a problem in this country. A lot of people don't want to inform themselves, and with all the other prejudices. And so, like I said, old bastards, it's a problem. And like I don't want to kill them. I just want it to be over. And I want young people taking over immediately, forcefully, without brains. And so here's an example of a problem, and here's a solution for it. A problem, here, old bastards, Clint Eastwood. Let's talk about Clint Eastwood. And I want no harm to come to the guy. He's like, what, 915 years old? And he did an interview this year in April in Esquire magazine. And they said, so you're voting for Donald Trump, and you don't necessarily endorse him. He said, exactly, the country needs a change. Mr. Trump doesn't change. I'm putting my vote there. And they said, okay, but what about the racist things that Donald Trump says? And he says, he does say some racist things that I disagree with, but people need to get over it. Hi, I want to get over it, Ashley. I don't want to get over anyone saying anything racist. No, racist stuff anywhere. We've had racists in office before. I don't think it's a good thing. And so that happened. And so he's like, people need to get over it. Then he said, people are walking on rice paper in this country because of political correctness. May I throw out a not very bold idea to you? There's no such thing as political correctness. It does not exist. What does exist is you finally getting tired of the crap that comes out of the mouth of your friends, and you finally call them on it. Like when you're driving down the street and there's a gay bar with some people hanging out, and your friend screams out, hey, what's up, faggots? And you're like, what did you just say? What, are you hard of hearing? I just yelled at the top of my lungs, hey, what's up, faggots? Why'd you do that? Because like we're passing a fag bar? What's the matter with you? You shouldn't say that anymore. What, are you all politically correct now? No, I just lost my gills. I just lost my twitching primordial tail and my love of the primordial ooze. I'm trying to socially evolve. Let's move on past demonizing these people who dropped out of mom being who they are, just like you being how you are. You need to upgrade yourself. So I kind of like you. So I'm going to give you one last chance to be able to hang out in this car another night with me and these other people. We're going to take you 40 miles out of town, and we're going to let you off so you can walk home and clear your head. And if you can't, I can't hang out with you anymore. What's the matter? Just because you don't like what I say? Yeah, because I don't like what you say, and I don't like how you think. And I'm not going to kick your ass, but I'm going to stop talking to you, and I'm just going to stop being around you. How about that? Well, you suck. You can say anything you want about me, but you need to upgrade. You need to evolve. And then Mr. Eastwood said something that I thought was bitchin'. He said, we live in a pussy generation. It's a pussy generation. I immediately saw the t-shirt. P-Gen, Generation P, a new generation. Bolder, with passports and visas stamped into the page. Snapchatting, periscoping, sending high-resolution photos of their pudenda, which is the naughty bits if you skip that on math class, to each other. More culturally aware and culturally sensitive than ever. Not falling for the prejudices of their parents, their parents' parents, their parents' parents, parents' parents, etc., etc. P-Gen! I wish I could be P-Gen. I'm not P-Gen. I'm older than you. I'm older than this building. I'm more like Clint Eastwood. We both have more years behind us than we do ahead of us. But I root for you, P-Gen. I root for you on the side of the stadium going, go, P-Gen, go, go, with my trembling liver-spotted paw as I get up every single morning at 03:30 hours to dash to the nearest Denny's to get my Melba toast and poached egg. To seize the day, because you never know when you... And so me and Clint Eastwood have more in common than I have with you. We're both old geezers who won't be around next spring. And so what I'm saying is, you need to upgrade. I need to upgrade. We need to ask better questions and get better solutions and better answers. And just here's an idea about that. We're on a university campus, right? We're near one or inside one. There is campus assault. We find out now, it's an inescapable truth, that there's sexual assault on campuses. It's always been there, but now you have no excuse not to know. It's right there. It's in your face. And so, let's take an example. This happened many times, sadly. A female is sexually assaulted on campus. She goes to law enforcement very bravely, swallowing her shame and hoping not to have a bad time with law enforcement. And she says, here's what happened to me an hour and a half ago. And law enforcement says, basically, what were you doing at 1 in the morning at a college dorm on a university campus? Well, let's see. That's a question, but it's a dumbass question. It's a question you ask when you want to make women go, basically, you are asking for it, and the guy just gave you what you wanted. Basically, you're saying you don't have any reasonable expectation of decency amongst other privileged kids who got to go to a university, that you go to a college dorm party at 1 in the morning in the middle of your time in college, the 4 years when you could inhale a bunch of weed, drink a bunch of beer, have a lot of fun before the grinding reality of the adult world sets upon you like a vulture grabbing you by the neck, where rent turns into mortgage and boyfriend, girlfriend, boyfriend, boyfriend, whatever, turns into marriage and kids and divorce and real world stuff. So at 1 in the morning, I'm in a college dorm, having a reasonable expectation of having a good time with fellow college students. What were you wearing? I was wearing clothes, and it wouldn't matter if I went in spray-painted orange, naked. That's not the questions you should be asking. And you shame these people, and that's why so many people don't report this stuff. Because of this document. Because of that. And I know this is all Society 101, and you know this stuff, but you want things to get better, you have to start asking better questions so you get better results. Some of these questions that are asked of these women basically are begging for an answer that will not help. And I've asked dumbass questions, but thankfully I'm big-eared enough to sit down and shut up when someone tries to upgrade me. And many years ago, I got upgraded. It was a great time. Many women have told me about their experiences with domestic abuse, about getting the crap kicked out of them. And a woman will say something like, the 4th time my husband hit me. And I go, whoa, wait a minute. There was a second time? And that's a male-oriented question, because we males, and some of you guys, you know exactly what I mean. If I'm the boss and you walk by my desk and I pat you on the ass, you probably find the heaviest thing you can find on my desk, and you hit me so hard my brains come out of my mouth. Now we're even. Me slapping you on the ass doesn't mean go get me more coffee. It means you must want me to kill you. And so a man can't understand that. A man can hit a woman, the woman goes like, I'm out of here. I'm leaving. There's no magic in this life. And so I said this to her, there's a second time? Why are you standing around for that? It's a reasonable question if you're a dumbass male, which I was. And I still am, but I'm getting better. I'm trying. And so she said, Henry, what, you think there's a magic car that she just gets into at 4 in the morning with the kids, driving to a hotel with a magic credit card, and in the morning magic daycare picks up these kids as she tries to go back to the cubicle and get to work? You know why women hang around to get the crap kicked out of them? Because they're trying to raise those kids. They're trying to keep the roof on. They're trying to make it better. You've got to ask better questions if you want a better answer. I want this century to be better. I want this country to be better. And here's the rub. I no longer look to any elected official to do that for me. A long time ago, I decided in the 1980s. In the 1980s, I was in a band called Black Flag. And that's when I got introduced to America, in that I saw inch by inch, mile after mile, this high off the ground. And I saw the armpit, I'm being polite, of many, many cities. I met runaway kids, I met hobos, I met people fresh out of jail, and I heard a lot of American stories. And I understood very fully that our government is not all that dependable, and that freedom is such that here's some rope, you can hang yourself with it, you can swing from it, you can build a bridge, but it's up to you. It's a pretty rough place. It's like a Phillies Flyer game. A lot of elbows. And I'm not putting it down, I'm just saying it's very real. And so I decided that I'm not going to depend on the government to ever take care of me. And so I do not believe I will ever get a penny from Social Security. I pay into it like you pay into it. I do not believe anyone has any money set aside for me. And I say this with no contempt or no heat. I'm just saying I really don't believe it's there. It is a mirage to me. And so as soon as I started making $1 that was being eaten up by rent or paying for snare heads, drumsticks, or bass strings, I started saving money, knowing that one day, if I'm lucky, I don't get hit by a streetcar, and I'm going to be alone trembling in some one-person apartment going, where's my top ramen noodles? And if I haven't saved that money, I'm going to starve to death. And so I have no contempt for American government. It's a little too corporate for me. I'd like to see that change, but I'd like to see you and me change first, because that's the change that can really happen. And so there's a new president in, 70-some days. I expect nothing from this person. Like, I expected nothing from Barack Obama. I only had my expectations, my optimism tied with you. Because we, seemingly, if you look at history, we shall not overcome. We've had myriad opportunities to overcome, from 1865, the 13th Amendment. And what did you get from that? The 14th Amendment, my personal favorite, equal protection under the law, the 14th in 1868. What did you get from that? Jim Crow laws, the KKK. You got institutionalized apartheid. You got segregation by law in states only overturned in 1954 by Brown v. Board of Education. That case from Topeka, Kansas. You know all this stuff. I'm just saying, when things get better is when you and I get better. It doesn't really matter who the president is, because whenever that person takes office, you're going to wake up in the same bed you woke up in last night. You're going to go, okay, here's my day, here's my country, here's my life. And so to me, you're the optimism, I'm the optimism, but only if we upgrade and make things better. So here's a quick story about perception, because we have a lot of that in this country. If you do this, you must be like that. Like, if you're a Republican, you must be stupid. Or if you're a Democrat, you must be lazy. I hate all this crap. And like I said, Donald Trump is about to walk into one of the sharpest rooms in America. The Republican Party that he's going into, people like Paul Ryan, there's about 4 things about American government Paul Ryan doesn't know, but by the time I just said that, he now knows them. He's one of the most intelligent politicians in the history of American politics, and so is Mitch McConnell. They know every fiber of every carpet in every building. They are total wonks, and the neophyte is sitting amongst these people like a child, and he's going to have to be spoon-fed Government 101. That guy better take a crash course in how it is. I hope he reads the Constitution for the first time. He seems stuck on the second of all 27 amendments, and I carry the Constitution. I have 2 copies, one in my backpack and one in my road case. I read from it all the time. It's a wonderful read, and there's not one part of it you can't understand, and it's really groovy. Anyway, sorry, the perception, the story. You say email, I pivot. Anyway, and so here's the thing. In 1995, I think it was, I was a temporary New Yorker, and it was fantastic. I lived in New York on and off all through the 90s because my bandmates were all New Yorkers. And they said, hey, let's get together and just rent an apartment and live in the East Village with the rest of us. You had to twist my arm about that much to get me to become a New Yorker. It was fantastic. Every Friday, I'd get the Village Voice and open it up and look at all the shows happening over the weekend. Wow, I can walk to this place, 10 blocks, 5 blocks, 4 blocks, 20 blocks. I can see the first set of that band, walk across town and see that, and the world is my oyster. New York was my city. I had great food, I met amazing people, I saw killer bands and acts from all over the world. I used my time wisely. I slept about 45 minutes. It was amazing. I loved being in the East Village in the summer. You're like, it's 4 in the morning. Sushi, and you go out, but you can't get a seat because the streets are so full of people. It was amazing. And so one day, I think it was in 1995, I'm walking to band practice, and I get there at 11:50 at context rehearsal at First and A. I get there at 11:50 for 12 noon band practice. I get there early because I put the punk in punctual. That's how I am. Hey, I've never said that before. Anyway. So I'm in the front room, this green room lounge area, waiting for my bandmates to drag themselves from their Lower East Side village apartments. And I'm alone except for a light-skinned African-American male, shaved head, wearing a suit, looking like a male model, open-toed sandals, if I remember correctly. And I look down like, wow, he's like a guy out of a Paco Rabanne ad. And he stands up, he's incredibly tall, and he walks over to me, and he said, "You're Henry Rollins." I said, "Yes, sir, I am." He said, "I'm a big fan of yours." I said, "Well, thank you very much." He said, "My name is RuPaul." And I was like, oh! And I knew who RuPaul was, but I was only used to the stage show version. Like, you know, the whole production number, the big wig, and the whole outfit. And so, seeing without that, it took me aback. And so I looked up, because I'm like 5'4" or something, and everyone in the world is taller than me, except for William Shatner. And whenever I see Bill, I go to his house now and then, I always stand right in front of him, and he goes, "Henry, we can see eye to eye. We're the same height. Wow, far out." Anyway, I'm looking up at RuPaul, and you are RuPaul! It's the cheekbones and the eyes that give it away. And so I shake his hand, and we get to talking, and he's so funny, and he's so sharp, and he's so switched on, and we realize we are both the same age. And so we have so many reference points. We both remember when Frampton Comes Alive came out, and we're just talking, and sometimes you meet someone, and you think, I hope I'm friends with this person for the rest of my life. You're so impressed by someone. And I've always been very impressed by RuPaul. I think he's punk rock. I think he's a classic American success story. Talk about box, think outside of the box and do your own thing. That to me is RuPaul. Certainly not the first drag queen, but the first one to take it uptown and get a Max Factor deal out of it and take it way uptown. He's extraordinary. And not to tie too long a tail onto the RuPaul kite, but I think I'm right about this. There's people all over the world who are LGBT or otherwise seen as different than the rest of the gang. They're autistic, they're special, they're complicated, or they're just weird, and they're not allowed to play in all the reindeer games of the rest of the gang. And sometimes they're put down by their family, they're put down at school, and some of these wonderful people harm themselves, they kill themselves. And every once in a while you read a headline, it's like some 16-year-old girl was ganged up on Facebook, and she goes into her room and she leaves a video letter. It's like, I wish you all liked me more. And then she hangs herself, and your heart breaks, and you wish you could have rescued that wonderful young person, and why everyone ganged up on her, and why wasn't there someone there going, you know what, you're just fine, screw them. I think for a lot of people in the world, RuPaul might have been that person who kept them alive. Like if you're gay in like Wyoming, you better be ready to fight. If you're gay in North or South Dakota, South Carolina, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, Arizona, Alaska, etc., you better be ready to put your dukes up, because someone's going to say, hey, what's up, faggot? And it's on. I think RuPaul has kept people from hanging themselves, from hurting themselves, because they see RuPaul, who's like 6'9" or something. Ta-da! Here I am, bite me if you don't like it. I'm RuPaul, I'm not leaving. And I think there's something to that. I also think he's a great pillar for civil rights, not only in this country, but for all over the world. And so I already had all that in place when I met RuPaul. So I was like, I'm such a fan of yours. And so we're hanging out, we're getting along famously. And my bandmates stagger into band practice. And I go, fellas, meet RuPaul! And I'm like, oh, damn! And it's a friendship that lasts to this day. We're still all pals with RuPaul. And RuPaul keeps in touch with me. And every once in a while, he'll send me an email. Hey, Henry, just thought I'd say hello. Thinking of you, RuPaul. And it makes my day, because I don't do that with anyone, because I'm just so serious and self-involved. And so I write back, wow, damn, thank you, RuPaul. You're a very nice person. I should learn about being nice from you. And a few years ago, well, I'm nice, I just don't reach out. I'm uptight. Anyway, some people say you're a hypocrite. I say I'm complex. Anyway, I get an email from RuPaul a few years ago, and he said, hey, I want you to be a judge on my TV show, RuPaul's Drag Race. And so I write back to RuPaul, thank you, but I'll pass. And he said, well, what's the matter? You got a problem with men in skirts? I said, no, absolutely not. That's not the problem. My problem is sitting in judgment of someone else. That I don't want to do. Because I'm not thin-skinned, nor am I thick-skinned. I'm real. And if I was thin-skinned, I would have taken every single person who gave me a mean review in every fanzine that I've been in my life. Your band sucks, and I hate your guts. I would have found that person's address and chewed their face off. Okay? And if I was thick-skinned, ding, ding, nothing would matter. but I'm real. And so if you say something mean, you can get to me. If you say, your show sucks and I hate you, I'll go back to that micro bunk on that Bon Jovi mobile, and I will trip on that for 6 hours. That'll be the stone thrown into the pond, and I'll be rocking those ripples till like 7 in the morning. Going, what did I do? Damn, man, I don't think I've ever been as sorry. Can you do something with wedges? Because I'm a Sun album. I'm a one-man drum band. Thank you. And so I'm neither thick nor thin. I'm real, and I don't want to judge anyone else. Because something like the case of RuPaul's Drag Race, these queens, these drag queens, are not just some men who threw a skirt on like, I'm going to dance around and make some money. These people work their butts off on those routines, and I don't want to sit there going, great, great. No, I don't think so. I don't want to do it. So I expressed all these these concerns to RuPaul, and I sent it back. And he said, Henry, I read everything. Henry, you are the most serious person I have ever met in my life. That could be. He said, Henry, it's not a comedy show, but it's a fun show. It's lighthearted. You should try to be lighthearted every once in a while. Henry, you should try to have some fun. Oh, no. If I have fun, I lose my edge. Oh, no way. He said, Henry, you need to get out more. You need to breathe. You need to, life is really short. Please, for me, as a favor to me, your buddy, RuPaul, be a guest judge on the RuPaul's Drag Race show. Okay, because I know he's right. I gotta loosen up a little. And so, weeks later, I'm a judge. It's me, some other guest judge, and the regular panel. And suddenly, there's a bunch of men in skirts dancing and lip-syncing in front of me. And my fellow judges are having the best time. They're hooting and hollering and laughing and screaming. Not me. I'm holding a steno notepad with great concentration, taking copious notes. The pirouette was very circular. I give that a 9.5. 9.5 with an arbitrary value I just put on something I've never even written pirouette before. I don't even know if I spelled that right. And a cool line to give it a 9.5. This is really like, scratch that out, okay? Oh, the high kick was very high for a man of his age and vascularity. Probably a lot of first position plie to get that elasticity. Very impressed, very impressed. That's why I'm working away. Meanwhile, I'm rolling, I'm like, because if I'm going to send someone home from Drag Race Island, I want to send the right person home. I don't want to be, no, it was you! And so the drag queens quickly see that I am the only one giving them my undivided attention. And so they reprioritize, and I become their main concern. These special projects. And now all the drag queens are you, me? Yes. And so my notes reflected the intensity has ratcheted up considerably. The drag queens are really turning it on now. And may I state for clarity and semi-comedic weight right now that I am a heterosexual male. Now, in the 1980s, if I said I'm a heterosexual male, it would have sounded like, I am hetero man! Coming down from mountain high in spring like Zarathustra to pollinate the valley below. All of the ovaries quiver in delight and expectation as the potent one makes his way down the mountain. Don't worry, ladies, I am a testosterone factory. I've got a lot with me, and I can go day and night until everyone is smiling, because I am hetero man! Now, at 55 and a half, I can yell that at the top of my lungs, and it would sound like, I'm still in the game. Hold on, I'm coming over there. If you're still breathing. So now we know I'm a straight male, and I know that I am watching men in skirts dance around. However, within 5 minutes of their great attentions, my mind starts thinking thoughts that I have never thought before. I'm a man doing anything. I'm like, well, if I was on a desert island, that one. And I'm like, what am I doing? And then I thought, I was like, this evolved male. I realized if it has a skirt on and it's looking at me and going like this, I'm like, all right. there's a fatter slice of the 60-second pie I am devoting to. All right. And the 7 drops of blood that remain in my lizard body start migrating to the center of my body. It's a familiar blood flow since I was very young. But usually the stimulation is far different. Like the visual of it, it's never been a guy in a skirt. This is a first. And so the blood starts arriving. I can feel it. And so I send a memo down. Stand down, stand down. False flag, false flag, false flag. And they go, all right, hold on, we're standing up. And then a minute later, and I'm like, no. And so I started having this kind of arm wrestling match with my orientation. So I'm taking notes at the same time, like, no, back. I'm like, okay, go. And so I'm like, no. And so finally it's lunchtime. And I'm sitting with RuPaul in some weird utility areas like mops and scrims, and we're sitting on like milk crates eating salad. It was surreal to see RuPaul in his outfit with a wig that is so tall and so heavy, he almost needs a chin strap so it doesn't make him fall over. To watch him eating salad. So we're both eating salads, and RuPaul, you know, I'm a straight male, but I'm watching the queens work out, and they're really good, and they keep looking at me, and you know, they're kind of hot, and I'm really having an interesting time processing. I mean, there's rooms in my mind, the doors have just opened, I never knew they were in there, like possibilities, and you know, that kind of, well, any port in a storm, it's just stuff like that. And he looked at me and said, you've got a dilemma. The rest of the day was interesting, and I went home that night in my economy car with a lot to think about. I'm like, man, RuPaul, what have you started? Anyway, RuPaul, like I said, keeps in touch with me now and then, and months ago he wrote me, he said, hey, I've got this show thing I'm doing, like content, where I put someone in my car, I put a microphone on them, I put a camera on them, we drive around Los Angeles, and we do errands, and I interview them, and I chop it up and make it into content. Do you want to be a guest on my drive around LA with RuPaul show? And I'm like, yeah, why not? So he said, when? I said, tomorrow? He said, 10 a.m.? I said, deal. And so the next day, RuPaul comes over to my place, and we jump into his car, puts a microphone on me, and we're going down the driveway in like his 900-year-old Fiat. It's a miracle that thing rolls. And we're going down the driveway, and he looks at me like, what's that in your hand? I said, it's my steno pad. He said, for what? I said, the errands. He said, what do you mean? He said, you said we're going to run errands. It took me 3.5 hours last night. I produced a perfect errand run. It's a perfect clockwise semicircle starting from this driveway like a boomerang, then comes back to this driveway. We're going to go into every parking lot, right turns. I ran it at 3 o'clock this morning. It is a model of perfection. He said, you took the errands thing seriously? I said, who are you in a car with? So, I live alone. I'm a solitary creature. I'm also a creature of habit. You can depend on me to go into that store, usually within 7 minutes of the same time I went into it, like every few days, boom, I go into the Trader Joe's at Ventura and Laurel Canyon Boulevard. And I will walk in, like they break into it and pull. It's like, watch this, 1841 hours. Watch this. It's like 1842, watch this. 6, 5, 4, 3. He's going to be blindfolded holding a single Trader Joe's bag. The real old one has holes in it. He's too cheap to buy another. 2, 1, and I told you, look at him. I go in with a blindfold on because I can go through that Trader Joe's like a rat going through a maze hoping to get the cocaine on the other side. Because I always buy the same thing. Some bananas, avocados, some spinach, minestrone soup. Bing, 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 bing. It's always like $11.58, whatever. And then boom, I'm out. I'm a model of efficiency. Why? To get back to work. And so I go into these places alone. Everyone knows me. I like them. They like me. Hey, Henry, how are you? I'm fine. How are you? You keep getting the same things. You know, Trader Joe's has a lot of different foods in here. Yes, I know. Would you ever be interested in trying anything else out? No, not at all. you know, life is short. You got some taste buds. Why don't you use them? I do use them. I taste every bite of food that I eat. I just like the same thing all the time because I don't have to think about it. I said, do you notice that I'm always in the same gray shirt and pair of blue dickies? He's like, yeah. I said, I have 15 of these. And 2 of these. They go, why do you dress the same every single day? Because I don't want to think about clothes like Einstein. And they're like, whatever. Anyway, at one time, I break my routine. I walk into all of these places with a 6.5-foot tall black guy. And all of these people are very nice, but to watch them lose control of their facial expressions and their body language as they try to be a pillar of tolerance while they revel in the idea that I have finally found someone. It was amazing. And so I walk in, and it's like someone hit him in the solar plex. I'm like, hi, Henry. Who's your friend? I'm like, oh, that's RuPaul. And then they're like, oh, of course. He's short hair, he's in shape. I was like, of course. And then they lose control. They're like, yeah, you know, just be who you are. That's what I say. Just do your thing. I mean, right on. Everyone should just come into the front door and say, hey, this is who I am. Life is short. Get a room with someone. I mean, have some fun. I mean, shouldn't we all just kind of loosen up just a little bit and say, hey, I'm me. And you know what? That actually get a button that says, hey, I'm me. I should put that on. And I'll make it tonight with some crayon and I'll glue it to my vest. And you'll see that. Yes, Henry, just right on to both of you and all people like you. It's okay. It's okay how you are. I'm like, thanks a lot for that. Can you ring me out? Like, oh, yeah, of course. And so this happened every single place we went into. They're like, yeah. And so the errands come to an end, and RuPaul says, you've been a very good guest. This has been a really fun interview. Can I buy you a free lunch? And I love free food. It's so great. And so I'll take free lunch off our corpse. I was like, oh, yes. And so we drive west on a street called Santa Monica Boulevard and to a part of Los Angeles called West LA. And West LA is also known as Gay LA. And that's not a put down. I'm not putting the place in the pejorative. Ask anyone. It's Gay LA. You know it because there's the perfectly mowed lawn that bisects the eastbound and westbound traffic. That's flagpoles with rainbow flags. And the streets are immaculate. The stores are fantastic. The smells coming out of the restaurants are incredible, and the people on the street are the models of health. Doesn't matter what body shape or age, everyone wants to look good because, hey, it's body beautiful, it's LA, it's Gay LA, and the weekend's coming. And so you'll see some 82-year-old man in nothing but sandals and a thong, and he looks like an 82-year-old Tarzan. He's just amazing. And you're like, how do you get your body like that? I do 50,000 ab crunches every single morning. Why? Because the weekend's coming! Wow! I'm not dead yet! And so the streets of West LA are packed with people because it's very, very nice. And so RuPaul and I go to West LA. We park in this massive parking structure. And we come out to a sidewalk teeming full of people. We are both recognized immediately. The wave of euphoria that we unleashed on that day was amazing. People stopped like they got slugged. Like, I said, RuPaul, don't look now, but I think we're an item. RuPaul looks to his left and sees that he has stopped the sidewalk. I'm like, and so we just shrugged, smiled, and waved, and went to the Japanese restaurant. About an hour and a half later, RuPaul drops me off. The email started coming in. Henry, dude, I'm in Ohio, in the living room of my apartment with all of your records in my Sonic Youth canvas LP bag, waiting to hear back from you before I go to the used store and trade them all in, man. Tell me you are not dating RuPaul. Just hit me back as soon as you can, dude. Waiting on you. My suggestion, when you have someone's chin out that far, never feel the need to ever give them the truth or an even break. Just do whatever you want. Have as much fun. That's what I do. And I didn't ask for your email. You email me. Whatever happens is going to happen. And so I let this young person twist in the wind for a good 3 hours, hoping they'd give that catalog one last play, looking for the gay inferences that were no doubt there the whole time. Damaged. Damaged. I'm gay. Damaged too. I'm so gay I had to do part 2. Got it right. My war. My gay war. Oh, of course. Discussions of war. Right, okay. Can't decide if I want to come out of the closet. Low self-opinion, I don't like myself because I'm gay. Wow, that's really intense. Liar. Oh, man. God, where was I? Of course he's gay. He was a cop in the video. Of course. And so, after 3 hours, I write the young man back. Dear young man, thank you so much for your inquiry. RuPaul and I are just gonna take it slow. Let's see where this thing is gonna go, because we don't want external forces to define this thing. We're just gonna let it become the animal it is, which will probably happen over the weekend. And so hopefully that young person has a whole lot to think about. And whatever that person thinks of me, so be it. And so a few hours later, another email comes in that's very, very similar. Henry, oh no, it can't be you. Oh no. Henry, please tell me you are not dating a man. Oh, please tell me this isn't true. I wait for about 3 or 4 hours to like 1 in the morning before I email back. Dear young person, thank you so much for your email. I live my life outdoors, and I write for a newspaper in Los Angeles called the LA Weekly. It's Circulation 8. You've never heard of it, but it's free. You can read it online. Anyway, there was a thing in North Carolina a while ago called House Bill 2, and it was the bathroom bill, and it was very, very mean to LGBT people. And I have a great affection for North Carolina because I was raised by a woman, my mama, and my mom was a heterosexual single female who liked men and martinis and cigarettes and the New Yorker and the New York Times and lots of music. She was an adult, but her son was a Ritalin-addicted, screeching, spastic monkey child who did not get along with anyone. And so Iris would take Henry to the birthday party and just park out front, because within 5 minutes there's some mom throwing me out because I've bitten 4 kids, climbed a tree, and had to be pulled down by my ankles. I'm like, with like the blood of like 3 5-year-olds on my face. Because I was just so hard to deal with. My mom could handle that for like 9 months of the year, and then came summer vacation, and my mom would put me in some underwear in a duffel bag and hurl me onto a Greyhound bus and send me to North Carolina summer camp, a Quaker summer camp, where all of a sudden I'm milking cows, I'm touching horses, I'm feeding chickens, I had chores. It was great to take a very nervous, skittish city boy and give him big animals to learn to be responsible for. I learned a lot. So I've always had a great affection for North Carolina. The sky is blue, the rivers are amazing, the people are fantastic. And so I wrote a thing about House Bill 2 for the LA Weekly. So you know what? I think that Governor McCrory wants to appease the anger and ignorance of 8 hicks, because the rest of North Carolina, the ones I've met, are fantastic. And even though they might not be okay with gay behavior, they're going to be cool enough to let someone use a bathroom. I mean, come on, what are we, 9? And so I printed this, and I said, you know what, I'm a little in disagreement with Mr. the Boss, Bruce Springsteen, a guy I have nothing but respect for. I don't know him, but I just think he's really cool. Because he canceled his show there in North Carolina, I forget what city, and he canceled, he said, I can't dig House Bill 2. Sorry, gotta go. I wish he did the show, because I think he probably makes a few bucks at those shows. And I hoped he would stay and do the show, take that money, the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not the millions, and give it to upstart LGBT activist groups in North Carolina Carolina and start a real conversation about equality and decency in that state that would no doubt radiate, because that's Bruce Springsteen doing it. And that to me would have been the epitome of rock and roll, to rebel, to clarify, to push back against the man. Also, it would be pitch perfect punk rock, and Bruce Springsteen could have done that, and he would have been a hero to the world. But the man said, you know, this thing sucks, I'm out of here. I respect that too, but I expressed my little opinion in my 1,000-word piece. The hate mail I got was immediate, and the first one was the best one. F you and the horse you ride in on. I love that text. F you and the horse you ride in on, you faggot lover. And like a lot of the email I get that's angry, it's poorly spelled and rarely signed. And this one wasn't signed. So I just wrote back, first laugh of the day, send. So the thing I wanted to tell you is I get email from Christians, and don't get me wrong, I'm not here to impugn Christians or Christianity, I wouldn't dare, but I'm only telling you that because they tell me they're Christian. They say, Henry, I'm a Christian male, a father and a husband of a Christian family, in a Christian household, in a Christian neighborhood, in a Christian country. Notice. And my family and I were watching History Channel 2, and we saw your show, 10 Things You Don't Know About, which we found to be kind of lacking for normal History Channel content. It was lacking in tales of vampires, the paranormal, Yeti, and alien abduction. However, there was a history rich, which we were not ready for. But the thing that put us off about this episode, about Tesla versus Edison, was all the wretched tattoos that you have put on your body. Henry, the entire family is praying for you. If your dumb show that has so much history and that we got it to you now gets another season, would you please consider wearing a long sleeve shirt, yours in Christ? And I write back very politely, because it's about the show and I want the guy to keep watching. I said, sir, thank you so much for your concern as to these tattoos on me. Thank you so much for watching. I do hope you'll tune in next week when we do 10 Things You Don't Know About, the Hoover Dam. It's going to be a great episode. And I send that off. But then I get other ones that really tick me off. Dear Henry, I'm a Christian, and I did not know about you until I went to a Christian website and I read an article that you did on LGBT concerns, and you seemed quite sympathetic to these gay people who have chosen this lifestyle. Henry, it is a chosen lifestyle. No one is born homosexual. They just hate America. They're probably communists and socialists. I want to tell you about Jesus and his love for those people and for you. Henry, Jesus loved you before you were born. You were one of the many choices Jesus made. As soon as you arrived, the love affair started. You have so much love waiting for you, and all you have to do is turn around and embrace the love of Jesus. Henry, these people, like you, have gone astray, but Jesus is infinitely patient. Jesus has already forgiven you for your sin to be friends with homosexual people. Henry, I am praying for you, and I hope that one day you will see the light. I don't need to be patronized like that. I'm a big old grown-up adult. And so I decided to make this guy my special project. Can you turn down the wedge monitor just a little bit more? I'm feeding back. Thank you. And so imagine you're bringing in a marlin from 500 miles away, because what I'm trying to do is get this guy, flip him onto my boat, because I can read between the lines the inherent hostility that he wants to unleash on me. What he really wants to say is, hey, faggot lover, I hate faggots, I hate you, you're a communist, you're one of those LA actor people, you hang out with Hanoi Jane Fonda and Barbara Streisand. It's liberals like you that are bringing the world down. I hate you and all your faggot friends. I'd love to beat your ass. I would love to give you a Christian ass whooping. Can't wait to meet you so I can push your face in. I want that email from him, but he can't give it to me because he has to give me Christ instead. And so I decide to break him. It's going to take 7 to 10 days, and I need to be very, very patient. Usually I'll get one of these letters right around the Christmas holiday where I've got so much time. And so I write back after a day. So this person is under the impression I've really let this sink in. And so I write back, thank you so much for your concern. I have a question about about the power of Christ. I'm fascinated to know if Jesus Christ got into a fight with Glenn Danzig, who would win? Set that off. 2 days later, a 3,000-word email. Dear Henry, thank you so much for your response, albeit brief. I must admit, I had to look up Glenn Danzig. I took a few searches because I didn't know about the double N, end of Glenn. However, I was able to stream some of the music and watch some of the videos. All of it I found to be quite objectionable. The lyrical content, please, I really had to run from the room and bathe. Some of the satanic imagery, obviously, Henry, I guess you're having a bit of fun with me. When I am trying to help you, and you are not taking this seriously, and a little bit of the veneer of civility is starting to wear away. I'm about 20% where I need to be with this guy. So it's going according to plan. Henry, I'm not the world's most patient person, but I'm praying to be more patient. I took a day off work to write that email to you, and I would appreciate if you write back to me, you would give me the same consideration and not be so flippant in response. And he sends that to me, and so I write back a few days later, I don't think so. The next email is about 5,000 words. And now we've got about this much civility left. Civility is clinging to the edge of the abyss. Henry, I read your email, and I must say, and I hate to use this language, you piss me off. I am really trying with you to bring you into the light. Jesus is only about love and forgiveness and the infinite. These fags that you like and yourself, you need to turn this around and tell any of your gay or socialist or communist friends, time is running out, because one day they're going to meet their maker, and if they have a bad report card, I have no idea. I'm not given the power to know what will happen to you or them. Henry, I'm not saying this is your last chance, but I'm saying that we're getting pretty close. And this is like pages of this. He quotes scripture. He gives me websites to go to. You know, the ark is real. I mean, all of this stuff. And so I write back after a few days. We're like now in day 9. I find you to be a completely ridiculous person. The email I wanted is the next one. What's up, faggot? I'm in Minneapolis, and when your tour bus comes into that parking lot on August 22nd, I will be there. You will know me from the upper right cross that is going to knock your ass out. You'll know me when you're trying to breathe and choking on the blood that will be filling your lungs as I jump up and down on your communist body. I hate you. I hate all people like you. I was raised to know what my country's coming to because it's full of people like you. You are the reason why Rome fell. It's you. And I write back, Jesus loves you. Anyway, so here's something else. I know where I am, and I've been playing in your fair city on my own or with music since I was 20 years of age. And so I've had a great affection for this town. It's a very tough town, but it's a very good town. The audiences have been very, very good to me. I've never had the crap kicked out of me by an audience, and I'm not trying to bring it on tonight. I'm just saying, I know that a lot of people here appreciate music, and perhaps amongst you, maybe there'll be 1 or 2 people who music doesn't have a real place for in your life, like my dad. My dad, a PhD, a smart guy, also a champion racist, an amazing homophobe, and a gold medal winning misogynist. Just the trifecta, amazing! And I would go to his place for the 48 Hours of Fear, the weekend visit after the divorce, and I would sit there, watch him drink bourbon shots, re-crack his broken nose from all the hockey pucks he took in the face, and we'd listen to news radio, and he would just curse the name of every brown person you could think of. And then I get dropped off back to Iris's place, my mom, and my mom was the DJ. She never stopped playing music. So I got into music as a very young person, and because of my mom, I appreciated a lot of different kinds of music. My mom was very, very eclectic. We'd go up to 3 times a week to the record store. My mom was into Stravinsky, and Bartok, and Bob Dylan, and Dionne Warwick, and Barbra Streisand, and Jimi Hendrix, and The Doors, and and Woody Guthrie, etc., etc. We'd go to see musicals. My mom turned me on to Godspell and Jesus Christ Superstar and The Man of La Mancha and Hello Dolly, etc. And so I figured out by around age 9 or 10, I liked music better than I liked people, because I did not get along with other kids at school. I was the kid you put your fist in front of, I started trembling, I'd lose control of my bladder, and I would piss my pants in front of you and everyone else on the Serengeti playground. And I would just say like, and then like, look, he's pissing. And I'd be in class smelling my own ammoniated urine with a damp foot, and that was me. You do this, I would hyperventilate for a week and a half. I was not good with other people, I'd hide, I was just not a happy young person. Also jammed with as much Ritalin as my mom could put down my throat every single day. My mom said, they're like bittersweet tarts, eat another. And I sped from like age 7 to age 18, like Dave in the last 2 minutes of 2001: A Space Odyssey, going through the space-time continuum, and the strobe lights are going like, that was like 10th grade for me. I had no memory of any of it. I remember English class, and the rest of the handed me a diploma. I went, get out of here. Where are you going? That way! I had no idea. And so that was the 70s, 1870s, 1970s, don't know. But I liked my bedroom more than I liked the real world, because that's where my records were. And my mom would buy me records. I had like Pete Seeger's Songs for Children, a Captain Kangaroo record, Beatles albums, and I would play them over and over again. I would play the A side of the Yellow Submarine soundtrack, because it had nice songs on it, and if you hit the switch just right on my little record player, it would just keep playing the same side over and over again. I would sit for hours at a time listening to the same 7 songs. And whenever Ringo sang, it gives you hope when Ringo sings, because you think, I can do that, you know what I mean? And I'm not putting him down. It just sounded like he was doing something else when he was doing the song. Like, oh, he's waiting for a bus. Put a mic on, see what happens. In the town. So here we go. Oh, lives a man. No, you gotta come back to that. And so I made fake friendships with all the people on all of these records. And like, you know, the Beatles became alt dads. Mary McCabe, alt dad. Barbara Streisand, alt mom. Dionne Warwick, alt mom. All these people, I liked their voices. You know, they were nice. They didn't throw the ball at my head. They didn't chase me. They didn't make me cry and hyperventilate and lose control. And whenever I went into the living room, my mom would be playing something. And if I ever expressed any interest in it, like, I like that, she'd abruptly stop playing it and go, here, it's yours. I'll buy another one. Records are $3. Take it. And all of a sudden, I'm in my room alone listening to Strauss, listening to really weird records. And by 5th or 6th grade, I was like this Ritalin jammed, oddly eclectic young person. My favorite record in 5th grade was the Hair Broadway soundtrack and Joplin in Concert, and I think the Shaft soundtrack, the double LP version. And no one ever listens to that record, which is a perfect album. No one ever listens beyond the first song, the Shaft theme, which is a perfect bit of music. The rest of that album is fantastic. The Memphis Horns are on that thing. Oh, it's a perfect record. And so I was this weird little kid who had imaginary friendships with people I never met, but I always wanted to meet them so I could thank them. And maybe you've had that relationship with a record or a band or a musician of some kind, where you put that record on and you think, that's one thing I got right. My life sucks. My life is nothing but mistakes. But I got this record right, whatever it is. Like Zeppelin 2, you put that on, you're like, that's right, and it always works. 20 years later, you put it on, you're like, damn, I got that right. And you think that they wrote that for you, and then after a while, you think that you wrote it. You're like, yeah, not bad. My mid-period. Like, what? And because the music is, it's in your bone marrow, and you can't thank these people enough for saving your ass. They didn't buy you lunch. They gave you music that you'll be humming and listening to for decades of your life, maybe even towards the end of your life. You put on that record, you go, damn, man, thank you. And I'm more intense than most people I've met. I'm a spastica. That's what the doctor told my mom. Ours, this is your son's a spastica. Look it up. You're going to have nothing but problems with this kid. Just get ready for when he turns 18 and then get him out and change your name. Go. Just get rid of him before he stabs you in your sleep. Very intense. Anyway, whenever I meet some of my rock and roll heroes, and I've met a few of them in my life, it rarely goes very well because I want to thank them too much. I fairly terrify them. I see them like, and they're like, hey, you're in a band? I was in a band. Put her there. I never liked that. I used to live near 2 Ramones when I lived in New York. I see Joey going to get his groceries every once in a while. I was never cool about it. Like, that's Joey Ramone! And I was like, hey man, be cool. You're in the East Village.
we don't care about anyone, man. We're just so cool. Yeah, it's Joey Ramone. Somebody puts his sneakers on one at a time. Shut up! Those records saved my life! All dad alert! All dad alert! All dad alert! And whenever I hang out with any Ramone, I was just like, hey Henry, how you doing? That's my name! How do you know me? And so I'm that guy where I chase you down the street. I love your records! Security drags me out. Anyway, I am your fan. If I am, you better run, man, because I'm into it. And so I always want to thank these people. You're never going to meet any of these people. They come from Mars, and you're you, and they're them, and who knows what world they live in. And so many years ago, I was working on a soundtrack where I'm going to be on this song for like 5 seconds. And so I go to the studio, and I meet the producer, who's this young rap impresario named David. And he's got these people with him. He's got like people. And one of his people drags me away and says, do you know who his mom is? I said, his mom is Dionne Warwick. Like one of my old moms. I was like, oh! So I go running up to this guy, I go, damn, your mom is Dionne Warwick? He said, don't diss. She only does the Psychic Friends Network because she needs the money. I said, no. I've been alive since they invented paper and wax. I've been listening to your mom's voice on Burt Bacharach's song since before you were born. And I explained my whole love affair I had with his mom's voice and this amazing music. And he totally got it. He said, you know how many people have told me that they think that my mom's voice is like, they were born with it in them. They love my mom. And I go, hey, I'm one of the millions of people who just thinks your mom is one of the greatest recording artists in my lifetime. I think she's so extraordinary. That music is in my DNA. Please, if you see her, tell her I said thank you. And he said, why don't you thank her yourself? I said, you can do that? He said, oh yeah, I got the hookup for that. And so, a while later, I am introduced to Dionne Warwick, and it was extraordinary. She's a statuesque, tall, beautiful woman. So imagine that you're Dionne Warwick, and I'm me, and I think that I've got like 110 seconds to thank you for about 40-some years of comfort. And so I walked up to her, I'm introduced, I'm short, she's tall, she's beautiful, I'm like, wow, you're Dionne Warwick. And then I go into it like 4 inches from her face, like, remember a long time ago, you had that song, Do You Know the Way to St. Louis? I've never been to St. Louis, but it's really, really cool. I used to have these cryathons in my room. I'd like get in my pillow, and I'd face down, and the tears would come out, and the snot would come out of my nose, and I'd drool into the pillow. I could cry for like 7, 8, 9 hours at a time, like, and the tears would actually go through the pillow, through the blanket, through the mattress, through the bedboard, all the way down to the floor, and actually warp the floorboard underneath. I would cry for like, I don't know, a day and a half, and then hyperventilate after that. That song that you would play, I love to, I would sing myself to sleep with that song. And the only reason I ever slept in the 60s into the early 70s was because of that song. Also, there's another song that you did, it was like a time release thing I didn't really understand. When I first heard it, I didn't really understand, but I would sing along with it anyway. It's this song, I'm never gonna fall in love again. I didn't really understand what love was, I really don't know what it means now. But I've tried it before, and it doesn't work with me. Because I met some woman you think is gonna be okay, but it's like holding on to a handful of sand. You held on to it, you hold on, you squeeze as hard as you can, then you abandon, there's not one grain of sand left. And it's like, you always think, I'm never gonna do that again, but you keep on doing it. And so as a young adult, that song means way more to me. Like, aha, thank you, Ms. Warwick, because when I was 7, I really didn't get it. But in my 20s and 30s, bingo, that's it. She sees it, I'm not going to shut up. So she grabs me by the back of my head and pushes my face into her chest. And I'm like, oh. And she said, baby, it's going to be all right. Right. And so, many of the best moments I've ever had in my life are music related. Going to a gig, buying a record, going to the record store, all that is a huge deal for me because it's some of the freest I've ever felt is when the music is playing or you're at a show, and it's very liberating. In the 1870s, my best friend, I met Ian MacKaye when I was 12. You know him from Fugazi. Ian and I, we lived in the same neighborhood in Washington, D.C. We became best friends at age 12. He was 11, I was 12, and he's 53, I'm 55, he'll be 54 in April. We're still best friends to this day. It's an amazing thing. And music is our thing. We both love music insanely. And so in the 1970s, we would go see arena rock. What was available? We were underage. We didn't know to sneak into a club. We weren't that brave or inventive. And so we went to go to the Capitol Center in Largo, Maryland to see Aerosmith. them from like, 50 yards away, and they're this big, and it sounds awful, because by the time the song gets to you, like the second half after they issue the riff, it gets to you is like sonic blowback. It's just like a broken leg of a song. It's like, it's the ricochet. Like, was that Rats in the Cellar? No, I think it was Walk This Way. No way. And they're this big on stage, like, is that even them? I don't know. Just some skinny guy with a wig. I don't know. Are we having fun? Sure, we're here, right? Yeah, we must be having fun. I'm not that excited. It's not that great. I'd rather just be alone in my room listening to the record. And so that happened a few times. So we saw Led Zeppelin. That was great. We saw Van Halen. That was really good. We saw Ted Nugent. Caveat. It's before he was talking. Before he was talking meaningfully between songs, he was just issuing rock and roll rhetoric in those days that you can find on the Double Live Gonzo record. Like, we gotta tune them up, tune them down, bring them home, bring them around, make sure they have things, they should do the right thing, our way, make those rock and roll rituals that everybody knows, and here's a song about a mythical creature called the Great White Buffalo. Yeah, a unicorn? What the hell is he talking about? And so you would pile into some mom's station wagon with a fake wooden paneling that's going to take Cub Scouts to a meeting on Saturday. Thanks for taking us back home, Mrs. Wilson. And like, it was such a non-rock experience that some mom takes you home. Like, so how was the show? It was sucked, actually. I couldn't see anything, and I smell like weed now, and I've just lost the upper range of my hearing. Endeavor to get it back. What's that howling in my ear? It's tinnitus, and I'm only in 10th grade. And so the big transition in my life came when my records no longer served me, and I remember it distinctly. I was listening to Fly Like an Eagle by Steve Miller for the 80 millionth time. It's an unimpeachably good record, but not on that day. And I was listening to the lyric like, fly like an eagle to the sea. Really? I'm not near the sea. I've never seen an eagle. I want to burn something to the ground. I want to light this record on fire. I want to light this whole apartment building on fire. I want a song that says, I want to light an apartment building on fire. That's what I want. But they don't make songs like that. They just make songs about running with the devil and Misty Mountain Hops and calling women baby or mama or child or little girl. Come with me to the pond of forgiveness. Please, I want angry music, but they don't make that. I'm the last or the first angry teenager on earth, or so I thought. And so I was complaining to a buddy of mine named Roberto Quiroz, Bert. And I said, Bert, my records no longer deal with my youthful anger and frustrations. They haven't invented the kind of music I need. And he said, come to the apartment I share with my mother next to the funeral home. That was true. And I'm going to give you a record that's going to change your life. And so he loaned me a record. He said, play it 3 times tonight and give it back tomorrow. And I look at the cover. It's black and white, these 4 idiots on the cover. I'm like, really? That's a band? You've got to be kidding me. Because I'm used to rock and roll gypsies like Fleetwood Mac and ringlet hair and men with vests on playing like 4 keyboards at once. Like, I'm that amazing. I need 4. And like 40-minute drum solos. Like, let's go eat and come back. Someone liked them. Anyway, I'm looking at this record. It's in black and white. I'm like, really? That's a band? Uh-huh. That's a joke. He said, you won't think so this time tomorrow. I go, Ramones. Really? That's, really? And he went, it's the first Ramones album. He said, take it 3 times, Henry. 3 times. So I got it home. The first time I played it, I thought it was a joke. My brain wasn't ready. The second time I went, wow, it's pretty cool. Third time I went, oh, 4 new alt dads. My feet are finally in my shoes. My shield has an insignia. I'm punk rock. My soundtrack has arrived. And with great regret, I gave that record back to Bert. Like, he had to prize it from my grasp. And then he gave me another record. He said, this is an import. It took me a year and a half of minimum wage pay to afford it. Be careful. And it's some band called The Clash. And so it's the first album. And so I listened to that 3 times and went, wow, that's like the best thing I've ever heard. And I gave it back. He said, all right, when you go home with this record, Henry, put your belt from your prep school uniform in your mouth and bite down on it so you don't convulse. And get ready for your lawn to die and your dog to run away from home. This band's called the Sex Pistols, School Is In. And I got that record home and put it on, and I was like, ah! It was incredible. And when that guy's angry, almost as angry as me. And that's when my life changed. I stopped going to the arena and started going to theaters and clubs where you could walk right up to the stage and get sweated on by the band, where the guitar amp was right there and you were right there. And music was like a shot to the solar plexus. It was real. It was never real before that moment when I started going to see punk rock. And I was very lucky to be alive when I was alive, where I was alive. Because there's a band I shared a town with called the Bad Brains, and they played all the time. In the top 3 live bands I've ever seen in my life, and this is not some old man looking back through his back pages, it was unbelievable. They reinvented music for me. And I'd stand right in front of him, and HR, I could smell him. I could smell his sweat. He would spit all over me. Because I'd be the willing student. I'd stand right from like, wow, how can you do that? How can anyone sing that fast? How can any band play? I don't know what to do with myself. It was amazing. And so me and Ian started having the most profound experiences at shows. There was a band from Ohio, strangely, not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. They should have been band 1. But they moved from Ohio to New York. They were called the Cramps. And the Cramps would play in Washington all the time, because we were a very wonderful crowd, all 75 of us. And Lux Interior, the amazing lead singer of the Cramps, he's passed away, he's gone now, but he's like 6'5", this weird salamander of a man, and he hated clothes. He hated them! And we would go see the Cramps play at bars, and within 3 songs, Lux Interior's down to his underwear, dancing on the bar, and he was hairless, oddly cold, and oily to the touch. And I know this because he always fell on me, and all of a sudden, I can feel his testicles on the side of my head. He's like, yeah, no! Anyway, one time Ian and I, it was like June 1980, we're seeing the Cramps at the Ontario Theatre, which is it's now a condominium. And so we were standing right out there, and the Cramps come out to play, and everyone goes nuts, all 400 of us. We all go crazy, and Lux Interior's trying to get out of his pants, but they're too tight, and he's too wet, and he can't get out of them. And he sees Ian and I, and we must have this look on our face like, we'll help you, Mr. Interior. And so Lux comes up to us and puts his feet in our face, like, get these damn pants off me. And so Ian and I peel the pants off him, turn them right side out, fold them, and put them on the stage. Well, what else do you do? You can't put them on. The band leaves stage. It was absolutely amazing. Then the venue starts emptying, and the pants are still there. And Ian and I see that there's a dilemma. Like, there's pants. We have this idea of Lux Interior that must be the only pair of pants he has, because no one ever brings 2 pairs of pants to a show. And he's probably walking around the greater Washington, D.C. area later tonight going like, where are my pants? It's like in his sneakers and underwear. So we must return his pants. But we don't know where backstage is. We don't hang out with bands. And so we're wandering around the Ontario Theatre. And we found one door that didn't say fire exit. We stood like, well, what do we do? We knock! We're that polite. And the door opens and Nick knocks. The drummer sticks his head out and says, yes. And we're like, whoa, it's a cramp. Hi. My name is and this is my worthy constituent, Ian, and we have Mr. Interior's pants. And he said, hold on a minute. Lux, the boys are here. They've had your pants cleaned and pressed. And we give the pants back. We're like, thank you for your single human fly, which I bought at the LBJ Club from your roadie for $3, and I play it all the time because I feel like a fly and everyone wants to swat me, and I feel like a bug that no one wants. And I guess you wrote that song for me, and thank you because it gave me some breathing room, because I know that I'm a bug, but I'm okay with that because of your song. And we'll go now. And so we started having meetings with bands, and you could walk right up and talk to them, and it was monumental because they're all crazy, and they were all, kind of happy that we gave a damn. Can we carry your equipment back to your car? These bands would show up in a VW with the entire backline crammed into the back seat. Like, sure, and all of a sudden you're carrying somebody's kick drum out. Like, I'm kind of in the band. It was really, really cool. And the point I'm making is, you love this music and you love these people in a way that you don't meet them, but you dig them anyway. And when they die, the grief is real. Even though you don't know that person, it hits you. Like when Prince died this year, that was a big damn deal for a lot of people, including me. And I know that everyone dies except for Keith Richards. I know. Well, he will die, but none of us will be here to see it. Anyway, I felt
felt it with Prince because every time you look at a photograph of him, he looks younger than the last time you saw a photograph of him, and he looks better. It's like the Dorian Gray of R&B. And then, so obviously, he passed away, and I was like, I wasn't in denial, but for like a few minutes, I was like, no way, you can't die, you're Prince, man, don't you have some kind of arrangement? And so these people go, and one guy left the building last year, and I don't know if the name Lemmy means anything to you. All right, good. And then obviously, I'm going to tell you what I will anyway, he was in a band called Motorhead. He was also in a band called Hawkwind, and if you've not checked out Hawkwind, those are some of the best records I own, are Hawkwind records. You should really check it. He did like 5 or 6 records with Hawkwind as the bass player before he formed Motorhead. None of them should be missed. They are fantastic. Anyway, Lem, as I affectionately nicknamed him, the Lem and I were buddies for damn near 30 years. And a more friendly, generous, honest, kind-hearted person you'd be hard-pressed to find. And I know that doesn't necessarily jive with his gruff exterior, because you see him play, and if you ever went to a Motorhead show and were in the first 5 rows, you leave thinking 20% slower, unable to read and unable to find your car, which means you could be the governor of Arkansas right now. Anyway, there's brain damaging music, and those records are fantastic, and I was kind of sort of raised on them. I started listening to Motorhead when I was like 17 or 18 at a punk rock party one night. Someone put on the Ace of Spades album, and I was like, whoa! And I picked up the sleeve and looked at these 3 long hairs. I'm like, oh, no, I can't buy a record with long-haired people. And I did it the next day. I said, oh, I just bought a hippie record. Oh, no. And that was the crossover band of the Washington, D.C. punk rock scene. And we had to amend our little punk rock constitution. I like punk rock and Motorhead. And like, where's your Motorhead record? It's in the barn. It's in the barn hidden away. Like, why don't you put the Motorhead? Because they have facial hair. I can't put that next to, I can't do it. But of course, those records are fantastic. And I met Lemmy somewhere in the 80s, and we remained friends all the way until his death. And so you don't think that he would be a really nice guy. He was nice to the point where your jaw would fall to the ground just with openness of him. One time, I was hanging out with him, and he used to collect knives and daggers and swords and all this crazy stuff. And he comes up to me with this crazy sword, and the only thing you do with this sword is kill people. It's just like this terrifying thing. You're like, what did I do to you? It's like, this is 104 years old. It's from Morocco. I'm like, yeah, because you don't cut tofu with this thing. You only go like, I'm thinking I'm going to get shivved. I'm like, what? I want you to have it. I nearly pissed my pants. I'm like, oh, okay. Why? And then what he said was amazing. I like you. You're my friend. And I want you to have this. I damn near wept. Who talks like that? And like, you wouldn't think Lemmy, but that's how he was. And I still have that sword, of course. And I don't, unsheath it and show people. I'm like, he gave me that. Like, can we look at it? No unsheathing. But just know that he gave that to me and not you. Get out. Anyway, one time I'm hanging out with the Lem at his micro apartment. And remember when you left home when you were like 11 or 12 and your first apartment had no room whatsoever. It stank, but it was yours. And you'd walk in and like take one step in, kitchen, bathroom, bedroom, you're back at the front door. You could sleep standing up. And that summer you lived on top ramen noodles. All you did was yell and you didn't sleep a wink. And that was your apartment. But you moved out to a place with more room later. Not Lemmy. Lemmy had this one-bedroom apartment up to here with stuff. He wasn't a hoarder, so it's not like a bunch of pie tins. There's books and DVDs and videos and World War II memorabilia, like up to here. The only way to walk was on these paths of ruined carpet. And whenever you'd walk in, stay on the path. And you'd follow these anacondas of carpet, and you just kind of wind your way through his apartment. And one day, the Lem and I are standing in the kitchen, dining room, bedroom, living room area, because it's all right there. And we're looking at his living room, which is about the size of a pool table, and there's stuff up to here. And he said, an interesting thing happened in my living room the other day. I said, what? A suitcase I lost 5 years ago just reappeared. I said, how do you lose a suitcase in a living room this big? I came home from tour 5 years ago, put my suitcase down, and it disappeared. It just came back 2 days ago.
It's amazing. It's like a time capsule. I opened it up, old tour programs, old laminates, old clothes. I said, yeah, of course they're old. They're 5 years old at least. I said, you don't come home from tour, immediately open up your luggage and do your laundry? And he looked at me like, oh, no. Why not? Why would you do it immediately? I said, because my clothes smell of cigarettes and old beer and misery and my perspiration wanting to strangle the bass player. Like I want to get it behind me before I go right back into it again. Going, you know, you're really weird. I'm like, man, if I had a dollar for every time I heard that. And so he sweeps his hand across the living room and he says, my living room is like, and he couldn't finish the sentence. So I sought to finish it for him. So I said, it's like the sea. And I wanted him to think, wow, Henry's so deep and poetic. I wanted him to be like, yeah. But instead he called me on it. What do you mean? I'm like, oh no, I've got nothing. So I just made stuff up. I said, it's like the sea because it's mysterious and it takes away. But it's generous and it gives back. He didn't buy it. I was like, yeah, all right. What's your place like? I said, meticulously clean, everything in alphabetical order. And he said, I thought so. Boom! Lemmy was always there with the twist. One time I gave him my Ace of Spades 12-inch to be signed. So whenever I knew I'd see him, I'd always bring him one of his records. And Ian Kai gave me that for my 19th birthday. So I give it to Lemmy and I give him a magic marker. And I go, hey, would you autograph this for me? Sure. And he signs it and I read the inscription. Probably too loud for you, Henry. Lemmy. I'm like, hey! One time I know for sure he saw my band play, standing on stage right, your left, and band, they said, Lemmy's watching us. And sure enough, Lemmy's standing there. We finished the show, and I walked by and I said, hey, Lemmy, good to see you again. He said, not bad for a beginner. I'm like, hey! But if you think about Lemmy in history, Bronze Age, Lemmy was there. Iron Age, Lemmy was there. Beginning of electric music, Lemmy was there. He's been there for all of it. And he died last December. And it's not a drag. It's not a tragedy. Everyone's going to go. I think his life is a perfect triumph. Lemmy lived exactly how he wanted to. Like, truly, he had so much fun. And everywhere, all over the world, he was recognized. He was a legend in his own time. It was so much fun to walk down the street with Lemmy because he caused a near riot everywhere he went. You'd walk with him and all of a sudden you hear screeching brakes and yelling. Like, has a dog run into traffic? No. People, Lemmy! People's hanging out of their vehicle. Cops, Lemmy! I have to tase him. I gotta tase him. I'm sorry. But I still dig him. And so people love this guy. He probably never bought a drink after 1975. People lined up to buy him a drink. And just a really generous guy. And a guy who put at least 570,000 miles of lines of speed and cocaine on his nose. Probably drank at least 530,000 gallons of hard alcohol. How much hashish? How many LSD trips? How much fun did this guy have? And he still got 70 plus years out of that carcass. The last time I saw Lemmy make a drink was a few months before he died. It was astonishing. He was holding a thing of orange juice and he made an orange juice and vodka right in front of me. I said, Lemmy! To see him holding fruit juice was unbelievable. To see him with something orange. I said, Lemmy, you? Orange juice? He said, I know. I'm trying to be more healthy. I said, man, you'll be ready for the Olympics by spring. Anyway, he's gone, but he left us some really good records behind that still cause brain damage when you play them. They're really good. Here's something else. When I was younger, years ago, I did music a lot, and I would always go to Europe in June, July, and August for the European festival circuit, because I wanted my band to be on stage in front of thousands of people, so they'd all go, rah, and dig the power of our rock and roll. However, we played all of those festivals multiple times, but no one saw us, because not any of the festivals liked me or our music, whatever. They'd let us play, but we'd have to play at like 8 in the morning. And so my recurring memory of the European festival circuit for damn near 3 decades was being woken up at 7:15 in the morning by a road manager's index finger digging into my ribcage. Wake up, rock star, you're on in 45 minutes. You'd wake up on stage like, this isn't happening. This isn't happening. Am I right to play? Are you awake yet? I'm not awake. Where's the set list? We didn't make one? No, because we're still asleep on stage. What's that? It's a monitor covered in morning dew. What's that? It's a seagull flying by. It's a freaking seagull flying by me. And there's no one out there except for 4 wasted kids about a half a mile that way, face down in the dirt, high on MDMA, because they thought the rave had started the night before, so they're there. And they passed out hours ago. And between songs, all you can hear is the crackle of security's walkie-talkies, like, bad band has 4 more songs, bad band has 4 more songs. And we never dialed in a show, so we got blood coming out of our noses and mouth, like, we're just playing our asses off, and the show comes to an end at a perfect 45 minutes. But get the band off stage, get the bad band off stage, and you are fairly thrown off the stage, which they're still building, with your gear flying over your head. And by 10:30 or 11, you are showered and done for the day, which isn't so bad if you could leave, but you can't, because while you are on stage, all the real bands have turned up with 40 buses and 50 trucks and huge production, and you've been hemmed in by 4 miles of vehicles, because the Verve has arrived with 40 trucks and 50,000 tons of dirt, because they're going to build a real volcano on stage, and they're putting the dirt on the stage now, and the smell in the air is obsidian. They are heating up real volcanic glass for real lava that will spew out of the volcano. 4 kids have volunteered to dive into the mouth of the volcano for the encore. No one gives a damn about you or your band. Deal with that for 11 hours. And that was me, standing waiting to go, standing there with a bad cup of coffee going, wow, no one likes me. I'm the tree that falls in the forest, unknown and unheard. And I would just hang out and wait. And one day in the 1990s, I'm at some massive festival somewhere on the European continent. It's like 10:45. I am done for the day, and I have nothing to do. So I'm standing alone on this marshy field as they're building stages. And I'm standing like, well, just me on my own, me, Mr. Insignificance. And a man walks by me, just me and another man on a field, and he's walking by, and my DNA recognizes him before my brain did, and my DNA went, do you know who that is? And I was like, whoa, yes I do. That's David Bowie. David Bowie is walking by me, and that music has been relevant to me since I was about 14 years old in 1811. And so I snap to attention, and I command my hair to stop growing, and I command myself to stop breathing, because I realize if the bow, as my bandmates and I affectionately name him, if the bow hears me breathing or hears my hair growing, he will fly away like a rare bird. And the snowy cricket never returned to Chickadee again. So I'm like, wow, there goes David Bowie. I'm such a fan. This is so great. I don't need a bag of happy cookies. I'll take the 4 crumbs at the bottom of the bag. I like little bits of happiness too much would make me sick. So I'm just going to stand here and watch David Bowie walk by me, because I don't like meeting my heroes. Doesn't go very well, because I'm a spaz. I'm not the other person who runs across the room with my right hand coming out saying, hey, I'm Henry Rollins. It's a big deal that you're meeting me, because I have social anxiety. It's not a big deal that you're meeting me. You'll just think I'm a short person. Anyway, so I'm just going to stand and catalog the bow. Here, perfect. Clothes. David Bowie, come on. He invented clothes. Come on, look at him. Taller than I thought he'd be. Charismatic jawline. So there he goes. Mr. Station to Station. Mr. Hunky-Dory. Thank you, dude. Thank you so much. And I'm going to tell this story decades from now. I'll go to Pennsylvania and tell my story. I'll stand in front of 250 people and say, David Bowie walked by me, and they'll all go, your story sucked. You know? The story sucked. 7 minutes I'll never get back. Hate you, hate your show. And so the bow is walking by me, and right when he's crossing where I'm standing, the bow stops, and he looks to his left, right at me, and he points at me, and he says, Rollins! I go running at David Bowie with my right hand coming up like it's a lance. And I have no idea what I'm going to say when I arrive. But I know what not to say, because he said, Rollins. If I say, Bowie, that's like 2 peers. Like Aristotle, Sophocles. It's not that, is it? So I think I went, which I do every single time I see any of my music heroes. So I stood there, and David Bowie looked at me, and he said, you said something in an interview in a magazine last month that I found very interesting, and proceeds to quote me back to me for like 3 paragraphs. I'm like, he said, sure sound better when you say it. And I was astonished. And I said, you read an interview of mine? He said, I read all your interviews. You're a fascinating person. Now, last year in a magazine in Germany, you said this, and he proceeds to quote me back to me again from a year ago. I'm like, okay, this isn't happening. And on the outside, I'm like, this is happening. But on the inside, I'm thinking, shut up! Stop doing this! Because this is as good as my life is ever going to get. And now, I have to run onto the highway and find a truck and just die. Because this is it. And I don't want it to be over, but now, it's definitely over. And so the Beau comes to the end of quoting me back to me, and I'm fairly stunned. And he sees me just going, hamina, hamina, hamina. And he said, have you had lunch? I went, He said, let's go have lunch. I said, well, let me check my day planner. Sure, let's go. And so we walk into the catering tent, which has about 250 rock and roll Vikings who just finished building all the stages and the lighting trusses. And this is not casual work. It's really hard, it's really dangerous, and it's very technical. Like to hang lights, you fall, you're dead, you break your back, it's no fun. And you can lose a finger, you can lose your arm, you can lose an eye. And these people get up at like midnight and they work until noon building these things so these rock stars can come out and explode and do their thing. And then they break it all down magically, they put it in a truck, and they drive it like 700 miles, and they rebuild it, never losing a digit. They're extraordinary people. So when they're hungry, you don't give them half a sandwich and a flat Coke. You feed them like the true gods and goddesses of rock that they are. They make it happen. And so, these people like meat. And so we walk in and all you can smell is burning flesh. And you see men and women drinking mead from horns. They're holding like a deer's leg and they're just eating the meat right off the bone. Like, they don't need knives or forks because their jaw strength is such they can just chew 1 pound of meat right through the tendon. And they're eating the hoof like it's a biscuit. And they don't communicate with words. They're so alpha. They communicate with utterances and pelvic thrusts. Like, they've reduced it down to like the essentials. And we walk in and all activity ceases. And you can hear 1 pound of venison leaving a mouth and dropping onto a metal table. You can hear fat congealing in braided beards. Like, which means the Beau has arrived. And they're all looking at the Beau. And the Beau is used to stopping traffic like this. And so he looks at everyone and says, good afternoon. I don't mean to interrupt your lunch. Please, carry on. The place, it was like a prison riot. They loved it. They go, and so the Beau and I, we select some food items, and we sit down and eat, and the conversation was amazing. It's like hanging out with a light bulb. The guy is so bright. He goes to record stores, he buys records, he goes to see bands, he DJs, he goes to museums, he goes to libraries, he goes to galleries, he does everything. And he's curious about what you're doing. So Henry, when's your next book come out? You know I do books. He said, I've read a few of them, not all of them, but what I've read is really good. I'm like, shut up! I'm never going to get over this. Like, you're killing me, man. And someone tells my bandmates who I'm eating lunch with, and they come running into the catering tent with these fake smiles on their faces, pretending they like me. And they come in, and they surround the table. Henry, introduce us to your friend. I said, sure, David, please meet Dopey, Sneezy, Sleepy. And to each one of them, how do you do? I'm David. They damn near faint like the charm. And we just sat there watching him eat. I forgot to eat. I'm like, I'd rather watch you eat. You're so dreamy. And he's looking at us like he's sitting with a table full of weirdos. And he's like, he said, I'm done with my lunch, so I'm going to go. I'm like, okay, that was great watching you eat, Mr. Beau. He's like, sure. Wow. He kind of got away from us, and we were stunned. I mean, we were starstruck. It was incredible, and that's what music can do, and that's what it means to me. Is like being amazed and finally being happy. Happiness has never come easily to me. I'm just an uptight person. I'm real nervous, and when I put the music on, that's about as good as it gets. You know, being on stage and being with a record player, to me, like the two perfect states, and I go for them as often as possible. And so that's what it is. Here's something else. The other day, you know, these shows go. I'm like, where's it going? Somewhere, you'll see. A few weeks ago, I was watching one of the presidential debates. No, I'm not going back into the topic, but something that Hillary Clinton said I found interesting. She said, I've been to 114 countries, which I was very impressed by, but I also realized I'm only 14 countries behind her. So I've been to like 100 countries in all 7 continents. Why? Because I'm Johnny Quest Jr. and the world is my oyster. And I learned a
lesson a few presidents ago. You remember a guy named George W. Bush? How can you forget him? His use of English, unbelievable. They'll be teaching that in schools one day. Like, he took the English language on the wildest ride. And I would watch him speak with great obsession. And I have nothing against the guy. I actually bought and read his autobiography that has no footnotes or index in the back. It was like a Crayola coloring book for adults. What I got from reading the book is, and the letters are like, 90 point. It's like, you read it in like 7 minutes. It's like that Sarah Palin book I bought, America by Heart. You can read that one in 6 minutes. Anyway, from reading his autobiography, I get the idea that he's probably a really, really nice guy. But anyway, he would talk, and you could see like he was like a Mac SE in his mind, and you can see him get to the end of the sentence, the wheels are so, and he's like going through the scorched landscape of his brain looking for a word, like, okay, hold on a minute, verb, conjunction, with Iraqian, that's what I meant to say. And he would say, don't go to that country, you're terrorized, it's the terrifiers. If you're not yet terrorized or terrified, you will be if you go there. And so I would go, like one please, and I would start going to all these countries to see for myself, because I don't believe a president, any president. I believe me when I go. And so you'll never hear me talk about any country I've ever been to that I don't have real intelligence on. I don't read a book and tell you about it. Well, I read a book about this country and it said, I go to the place, and I'm no expert, I'm just curious. And so whenever I come back with a story, it's because I went there. It's not because it's some damn documentary. I sat on my ass and watched. Well, I'd much rather get back to you with something that's real. I'm your faithful dog bringing you back the squirrel or the rat or the pheasant, putting it at your feet and you go, damn, it's dead, but it's here. Anyway, so I go all over the world and I'm trying to learn about how we humans get along. And we Homo sapiens are a very complex species. And I dig us very much, but we are a Gordian knot because we're so high functioning. And after thousands of miles and lots of places I've visited, I wish I had some beautiful, eloquent rollout as to the human state, but I don't. All I can come up with is we are too simultaneously high functioning and low functioning to be anything but simultaneously wonderful and potentially lethal. In that you're wonderful people, I bet, but you can pick up a machete, wrap your hands around it, go home tonight, and hack your family to pieces. I bet you won't, and that's not a dare. I'm just saying you won't do that. But don't tell me I can't do that. Yes, you can. Believe in yourself. You can do this. All you need to do is just go like this until the screaming stops. And there you go. You hack the whole family to pieces. I'm just saying that we're capable of a lot, and so I don't understand this, but I'm trying. I have encountered one person who understands the human state better than anyone I've ever met, and I've never really met her. Ma'am, you could be here tonight. I got an email late last year from a woman in one paragraph of blinding, irrefutable logic. She stunned me with her assessment of humanity. And that's why I walked onto this stage about an hour and some minutes ago with a steno notepad in my hand. Do you remember that? Probably not, because I talk at an astonishing rate of speed, and you're kind of now paralyzed. You're like, and you're thinking in the back of your mind, you better shut up soon, or I'm going to come over there and shut you up. I get it, I get it, I get it. Anyway, I have this woman's email, and I wrote it down, and I want to read it to you, and I'm not making fun of her, I wouldn't dare. I'm not putting her in the pejorative. I am a fan of her mind. I wrote her back a fan letter. She's never written me back. Maybe she's just toying with me. Maybe she's doing to me what I do to the Christian, but she's going like months at a time. Anyway, in this email I got late last year from this woman, she basically broke down the human state, and she understands you, and she understands me perfectly. This is fantastic. And I think in her email, she thought she'd already been emailing me, and this was a continuation of our correspondence. Maybe she was emailing me from her mind, thinking that I would get it in my mind, but to my knowledge, she only wrote me once. I wrote her back once, and we remain silent pals. And so here's this email. Hi, Henry! Exclamation point. I love enthusiasm. I forgot to mention, and that's, we're already in conversation. Hi, Henry. I forgot to mention God's spaceships and Jesus' return in thousands of them during my lifetime to beam up all those who are ready then. Yes, there is a way out of this hellhole called planet Earth, and it is not so far off anymore. Check out Psalm 68:17.
He went, so he will come back again. Merry Christmas! I'm on Facebook. Now, the reason why this is instructive is not only did this amazing woman, in one cranial exhalation, in one intellectual ha, she is able to make the leap from technology to faith very, very easily, which I think is a monumental achievement for people. If you can be walking around with a computer in your pocket, your cell phone, and still have faith, that is an evolved way of thinking, because some people say you can't have one without the other. How can you think the sky will darken with locusts if Bill marries Tom? Because the only reason those two want to get married is so they can get divorced and marry ice cream or bicycles or horses, because that's what they really want. But if someone can say, I can dig some God and I can dig some science, that is an evolved state. That gives me hope going forward. So in this email to me, in one paragraph of uninterrupted logic, she can take in Jesus, God, flying saucers, the Bible, a Judeo-Christian holiday, and the bleeding edge of social networking, all in one ha. Now, if we go along the lines of her rationale, you can be able to say, God, I'm ready to get out of this hellhole called planet Earth. God will dispatch a spaceship to you, piloted by Jesus Christ. How bitchin' would that be? To be mowing the lawn and then one day you're like, you know what? Screw this. I hate my life. I hate my cubicle. Food no longer tastes good. I'm bored. I'm done. I'm ready to beam up. God! God, like Uber. Like, yeah. And down comes the spaceship, lands in your yard, scares the living daylights out of you. Ah! Damn! Whoa! And then, and you look in, and there's Jesus. And my version of Jesus is when he comes back, he'll talk like a medley of Bootsy Collins and Jimi Hendrix. Think about it. Because he seems like a real cool guy from what I've read. But I like the idea of him going, yeah, baby, the crucifixion was a drag, but we're funkin' now. There's nothing to worry about when we all come down on the one baby. Solving problems. She's showing all of us what you can do. Now, if your mind is that beautiful of a place where you can entertain that and write some jack-off from the 1980s in some stupid video, like if you could write me that, if you could just knock that out and send it to nobody, me, somewhere in the universe, think of what your mind can do when you really put into something. And all of us have that potential. So if you can do that, why would you be racist? If you can do that, why would you be a homophobe? When your mind has that much imaginative power and potential creativity by being one email to me, why would you want to do anything less but aspire to the greatness and the beauty of that moment and try and realize it second after second after second and radiate it like it's a good virus and turn other people on? Like, I don't think I'm going to get picked up by a spaceship no matter how much I yell for God to come and get me. It'd be cool. I'd get in. I just don't think it's going to happen. But I like where her mind is. And I wrote her back. I said, ma'am, you are amazing. I dig your mind. Please keep in touch with me. She never wrote me back. Maybe she's just letting me just twist in the wind for a while. Maybe she'll be back in touch. But here's something else. Like I said, I've been bouncing all over the world trying to understand us. And I go all over the African continent, South America, Central America, Southeast Asia, Central Asia. I've been pretty far and pretty wide. And last year, I knew I had November fairly off. I had most of it pretty free. Knowing that, I called my travel agent in the weeks before November, and I said, Rita, who's retired, and she comes out of retirement for me, because she says it's never boring when I call. And then our running joke is, Rita, are you still retired? She said, not when you call, hon. Where are we going this time? Because she sent me to North Korea, Iran, Pakistan, Mongolia, all over. So when I call Rita, Rita's awake. So I said, Rita, I got an idea. She said, where do you want to go? I said, I got November. What's happening in Antarctica in November? She started screaming, you've got to go in November! I said, okay, why? The penguins are breeding! So what's more action than I'm getting? I'm in! So she said, it's a really good time to go. She said, oh, I know you so well. I have the perfect trip for you. You're gonna love it. It is the boringest trip ever in the history of Antarctic travel. But why is it boring? 6 hours of lectures a day. Global climate change. Nothing but the history of the almost damn near extinction of whales and seals by unregulated hunting and slaughter. Deception Island, Shackleton. It's amazing and hyper sciencey. It's you and a whole bunch of eco-travelers with a bunch of scientists meeting. Can you sit down, shut up, and listen to lectures every single day? Like, oh, sign me up. And she did. And so I left Los Angeles to Texas, to Buenos Aires, to Ushuaia, the southernmost city in the world, right down the road from the Falkland Islands. And a few days later, I'm on this ship full of really nice fellow eco-travelers and really hardcore scientists. And I realized I was different than all of my fellow travelers almost immediately. I'm the only one traveling alone, so I'm the weird one. And I would sit down trying to be social at tables with other people, and they're couples. And so all of a sudden, I'm the weird one. So they're like, so Henry, what do you do? I try to explain this, and they're like, you are really weird. I'm thinking, bingo! And so I also find out that our motivations are somewhat different. They're down with science and all of that, of course, but I want hardcore global climate change information, codependent ecosystems, biodiversity, etc. They want one thing and one thing only: penguins. That's it. But, Henry, we are going to see penguins. Are you stoked or what? I said, reasonably, yes. Henry, penguins. I said, no, I'm not going to share with you. Henry, we came here to see penguins, and they said in the brochure we're going to see a lot of penguins. It's going to be so great when we see penguins. Have you seen March of the Penguins? I'm like, no, I haven't. You want to watch it on my iWatch? I don't, actually. Not now, but thank you. And so every single scientist that's on that ship, they would run up, like Annette, the German whale expert. Annette, we're going to see penguins, right? But yes, but my expertise asked me about the whale. No, screw whales. Penguins, we're going to see them, right? And you see every scientist, because they're just getting tackled by travelers, and you see the faces of every scientist fall with exhaustion when someone asks about penguins, like, sir, you are going to see so many penguins, your fat head is going to spin off your skinny little neck. And you can tell they don't hate penguins, but there's something about penguins that wears them out. And I'm curious to find out what that is. And so after 4 days of lectures, because there's no land to fall on, the best lecture is Bob the geologist, an ultra-alpha male confrontationalist who speaks in clipped Hemingway declarative sentences, and everything is a potential threat. Come into the lounge right now, I'm about to lecture. Get in here now. And you run down to the lounge. Welcome, sit down, now. Did you just tell, okay? The world's coming to an end, you know why? You, all of you, your toilet flushes, and your vaccinations, and your vacations, and your good times. We're all gonna die. Why? Because of global climate change. Why? You and your light bulbs, and your vacations, and your motor homes, and your gasoline. You are killing everything on the planet. Here's slide number 1. Cataract winds going down on ice, pushing the ice into the water. The water's warm, the water's melting. Where do you think the water's going to go? Right into your house. It's going to flood you. Catastrophic sea rise will be a fact of your lifetime. Slide number 2, another way. You're killing everything. By slide 5, you hear people crying. By slide 10, you hear katana blades ripping through abdominal walls. By the end of the lecture, people are like those falling over. I'm here at the end of the lecture to answer any question you have, if you've got the guts. People would run, vodka, and get out of there. Except for me, with my steno notepad. Hi, Bob, I'm the guy who always stays behind every day. Can you tell me one more time how NASA's photos of sea ice at the bottom of the world is indicative of the world warming up, as opposed to Fox News journalists who say it's indicative of the world getting colder? Sit down. And I hung out with Bob every day. We're pals. To this day, Bob is still sending me articles about global climate change that are so depressing. Anyway, read this now. I couldn't come out of my mom's attic for a week and a half. And so, by day 5,
finally there's landfall and we're going to meet penguins. And so this message comes into all of our little cabins. Come down to the lounge right now for the penguin lecture because we're going to be meeting them in 3 hours. You hear people running to the lounge. Finally, it is go time. And so the lecture is very, very brief. The penguins do not acknowledge any predators on land. So they will walk up to you. They might peck your boots. Do not pat them. Do not hug them. Do not scare them. If they are crossing your path, they have the right of way. Their droppings are red. You'll see these red lines. We call them penguin highways. And they're all over. It is springtime in Antarctica. They will be breeding and building nests. It's a very active time here at the edge of the Antarctic Peninsula, but please be careful. Do not traumatize the penguins. It's their world. We're just quietly and politely walking through it. We all get it. We suit up in our cold weather gear. We jump into these little rubber boats and we go towards an impenetrable cloud of fog. Like, whoop, you just disappeared into it. And I'm at the back of the rubber boat with Annette, the whale expert. And I inhale this cloud of fog. Like, oh! I said, let me take a big fat guess, Annette. That is the smell of penguins. And there's that face. It falls halfway off her skull. You said you wanted penguins. Oh boy, are you going to get them. A minute later, the stench is more intense than the first 4 Black Sabbath albums being played at once. A minute later, your lungs are hugging themselves closed. Like, that's not coming in here again. The stench is unbelievable. It knocks the proverbial buzzard off the proverbial crap wagon. You lose sense of space and time. You lose your balance. And finally, the cloud of fog starts to dissipate somewhat, and you can see the outline of a coast. You're like, whoa, here we are. There's an island. And you don't see one penguin. You don't see 5 penguins. Hundreds of them are in lines like cavalry, and they're looking at you. You see them zipping up their outfits, taking one last hit off the joint. Come on, they're coming, and they come right. And they're covered in their own crap. They're black and white, and green, and red, and brown, and they're looking for a date. Like, covered in crap, looking for love. Amsterdam, and so, and they come right up, and they peck your boots, and you find yourself apologizing. I'm sorry, the boots don't match the pants. I did not know the color scheme was going to be like brown and blue. What was I thinking? I know. And there's always one penguin on every island who was different than the rest. And he would find himself, it must have been he found himself way out in the middle of nowhere. There's like all this penguin crap everywhere, except for this one part of any island where it's undisturbed white snow. And there'd be one single penguin, like a city block away from all the others, standing alone going, ah! And there's one on every island. And I said, there's the existential penguin. There's the penguin who realizes the futility of everything. The world is coming to an end. Why breed? Why jump into the water and eat krill, which is fed by phytoplankton, the microorganism that not only feeds the krill, that feeds the penguins and the whales and the seals, but also supplies the world with half of its photosynthesis. Why do anything? The world is getting warmer. I've been to one of the lectures of Bob. Screw everything. It's Albert Camus, the penguin, forever locked in an endless Beckett play, waiting for Godot until he boils to death. And so I always appreciated that penguin, because that penguin is like me. So I was like, damn, look at him just, And every day, I'd be with my fellow eco-travelers who did not smell the crap. They're just so happy. Henry, look at the penguins. Aren't they amazing? I'm like, yeah, they're incredible. And so the penguins, they like to wash off, and they like to eat some krill if there's any left. And they get right up to the edge, and they look down. It's like they've never dived in the water before. They're like, no, I don't think so. No, you go first. And then you see them like, no, you stand around. No, and there I am giving them human emotions. And that's what my fellow travelers were doing. They're like, you can do it. I don't give a penguin a pep talk, okay? Just let it be a wild animal that would like bite you in the face if you got too close. And the penguins, they're not land animals. They're amazing in the water, but on land they're slightly ungainly, like the waddle. And so they get up to the edge and they're like, screw it, I gotta eat. And they jump in, and it's never like, he's like, and they gotta fall in like a sack of potatoes. And sometimes they go, and like they fall on their ass and they fall in the water, everyone applauds. Oh, that was so cute, that's so funny. I never wanted a penguin outfit before in my life. I wanted to put one on and jump in the water and sneak back up.
Who's laughing? Do you laugh at me? Did you just laugh and applaud? When I'm getting hunted down by orca and people like you with your toilet flush, oh, a penguin, a guy in a penguin suit just hit me. Yeah, that was me. That was me. Okay? We are wild animals. You are killing this environment. Hi, I'm a threatened species. Because of you, you laugh at me again. I'm bringing all my friends over. We will chew your knees off. Anyway, every day I'm hanging out with penguins, penguin stench, and Bob. I stay with Bob. He's like, you know, it's all coming to an end. I said, Bob, in my lifetime, what's the most visible sign of global climate change am I going to see? And he said, catastrophic rise in sea level. I said, like what, 10 feet? He said, no, like 20 feet, 30 feet, 60 feet. I said, oh, come on, how can that happen? He said, because the water's melting. What, do you think it sits around? It goes places. So I said, a city like New Orleans could get flooded. He said, no, you don't get it. A city like New Orleans could go away. I said, what about a state like Florida with water on each side? He said, yes, that could go away. I said, whoa, so it could turn into potentially a white trash Atlantis? And Bob is very serious, and he sees this look of hope on my face, like, not so bad. He said, Henry, I said, oh, come on, they're tadpoles, they'll be just fine, they've got gills, and maybe it'll keep some people alive. How? I said, maybe when the next African-American male is leaving a convenience store with a bag of Skittles and a can of iced tea, the bullet that the person standing his ground will fire will go slow enough. I'm standing my ground, I'm dodging your bullet, and maybe things get better. He said, you are so weird. I said, yeah. And so I'm one of the 20 people who signed up for the camping trip because I wanted to lie on my back in the Antarctic night and dig it. And so I paid an extra $100. And me and 19 other people were taken to Nico Harbor, which is an island home of like 50,000 rutting Gentoo penguins. The island is covered in penguin droppings. It's like being punched in the face by a bottle of ammonia. And so we hiked to the other side of the island that's not so crack splatter. We're all issued shovels where we dig a grave and jump in to cut down on the wind. I'm in my sleeping bag, in my bivy bag, lying there, looking at penguins who are looking at me like, hi! Yeah, they're like running around, or they're looking at me, and they get right in your face like, I go, hello, Mr. Penguin. And they keep walking around me. They found me very curious. And those are the only people who slept outside. Everyone else slept in tents. They said, so Henry, would you like to sleep in a tent or outside? I said, well, I want outside. But tell me about the tent option. We'll just put you in with someone else. I went, I'll take outside, please. Here I am. Can't fall asleep next to anyone, never been able to. So anyway, there I am, digging the penguins and the glacier, and the fact that the penguins never shut up, they never sleep, and the sun doesn't set. So everyone's up. The smell is unbelievable. It's like smelling salts. You're like, I'm awake, I'm awake, I'm awake. And I wanted to have my own Antarctic first. Shackleton had his. I want mine. I want to be the first person to listen to Raw Power by the Stooges in its entirety at the edge of the Antarctic Peninsula. Who would think to do that? No one but me. And so I put on my little earphones and I listened to Raw Power for like the 30 millionth time with the sound of penguins inside every song. You hear the song, you hear the penguins. Between songs, you hear penguins. And penguins are looking at you and you're looking at them as you're nodding your head to the music. I've never experienced Raw Power in this way before. So the record comes to an end. I wind up my gear, put it back in my parka, and I just lie there for the rest of the night, just digging the nature scene, as Sonic Youth once said. And I thought I stayed up for the entire time. And one of my fellow campers, a woman said, you were asleep at 5:30 in the morning. You're like dead to the world. There's a penguin staring at you an inch from your face. And you were asleep. It looked so cool. So anyway, at 6:30 in the morning, our camp counselor, this woman from Brazil, she said, all right, campers, roll up your gear. We're going back to the ship. We filled in our little holes so no penguin would fall in and hurt herself or himself. We get back to the ship. I buy a 100-minute voucher for internet access. And I write a man named Henry McGraughan. Henry McGraughan manages the undisputed heavyweight champion of rock and roll. That would be Iggy Pop. There is no fighter. And so I said, Dear Henry M., 'tis I, your pal Henry R., writing you presently from the bottom of the world. Would you please let the undisputed heavyweight champion of rock and roll know that I have listened to Raw Power in its entirety, the first time this has ever been done. Let him know and then let me know what he thinks. And I send that.
And I log on a few hours later, and Henry McGrogan has written me back, "Dear Henry R., 'tis I, Henry M. I am envious of your present location. I will let Mr. Pop know about your Antarctic achievement, and I will let you know what he thinks. You are so weird." And so far, I do not know what Iggy thinks of what I've done, but I bet he'll be into it. Because I've had numerous conversations with the man since 1982 or 1983, and he's always friendly to me and always somehow remembers my name, which never stops blowing my mind. "Hey, Henry, how are you?" "Shut up, that's me!" And I've confessed things to him, because I'm a thief. I'm a music thief. I steal music. Because here's my gospel. The reason why I travel all over the world with a 1.5 terabyte hard drive full of hundreds of thousands of MP3s is, because like I said, problem, solution. Problem in this world, war. Solution, music. And so here's what I do. I go all over the world, I meet young people, and I hang out with them. I go, "What kind of music do you like?" And they tell me. I go, "Well, here's some more music." And I put my hard drive onto their computer, and I drag and I drop a bunch of music, basically stealing it. Because my theory is, if you identify with a country culturally, you might not think America's the great Satan, because we're not the great Satan. Not at all. We're really good, wonderful country, full of really good people. We disagree a lot, because we have a lot of freedom. Let's just not let it come to blows. Let's just disagree and agree to get along as much of the time as possible. Music helps. And I've met people all over the world just because they have a Ramones shirt on, or they have some punk rock shirt on. I did this the other day. I was in Philadelphia. I went to a Panera, because I want to shorten my life. So I got one of those chicken avocado things. And I'm walking out, and there's a kid with a Damned t-shirt on, the punk rock band, The Damned, one of the best bands ever. And I walked up to him, and I poked him with my index finger, assault. And I poked him. I went, "That's what I'm talking about." He's like, "What? The Damned, man!" And he went, "Oh, yeah." And then he recognized, like, "Oh, whoa!" And his girlfriend was named Lydia. He goes, "Lydia, look!" And I went, "Lydia, look!" And I left. And I do this all over the world. I was in Chile a few months ago, and there's a girl who's walking down the street with a Ramones shirt on. I'm like, "Ramones!" And she's like, "Ah!" And she showed me her punk rock tattoo. She goes, "I want to show you my tattoo." She starts pulling her shirt up. I'm like, no, that's fine. She had a tank tattooed on her side. A tank with a black flag logo on it. I was like, "That's a lot of ink." Oh, man. "I hope I never piss you off." She goes, "No, that's not possible." I go, "Oh, yes, it is. I'm sure it is. I'm just some guy." Anyway, I feel that when young people identify with their country culturally, maybe things get better. Maybe some kid who's adhered himself to radical Islam and wants to go into a club and blow himself and a bunch of beautiful young people up, maybe if that young person hears Devo, or P-Funk, or Fugazi, or Jane's Addiction, or, they go into that club and go, "You know what? I'm going to take the belt of explosives off and make 3,500 new friends and fall in love with rock and roll and do this all the time." And maybe that's what gets things better. And I know a lot of my fixes are hopey changing. They're looking for a tree to hug. But at least I'm not saying that sucks and walking off stage. I'm saying that sucks and here's how we fix it. And so I drag this hard drive around all over the world, and I steal. I stole so much music and gave it to a kid because he wrote me a couple of years ago, "Dear Henry, I'm 17, gay, and live in Utah. Help." And I said, "Oh, you need help." He said, "My parents, they don't even know I have a laptop. I'm not allowed to listen to music. I don't know anything about music. Will you send me some?" And I see this blank chalkboard, and I'm like, and I'm holding the chalk. His mind is mine. And I started sending him music, and he would send me back the best emails. "Dear Henry, kid in Utah." I mean, I blew his mind with all this music. And at one point, he wrote me, he said, "Henry, my friend at school says there's a band called Black Sabbath, and he says they're really good. Is this true? Is there such a band called Black Sabbath?" I'm like, what world is this kid living in? He's in America in 2014. I sent him the first 4 Black Sabbath albums. And next time I see Ozzy, I'll tell him, "Ozzy, I stole your music." "That's okay, man, everyone else does." One of the nicest people I've ever met in my life, Ozzy, thinks that no one will show up to the shows. One time I'm standing next to him at like a 25,000 seater that they're WD-40ing people to slam them in. And he's about to go on, the band's on stage, he's saying like, "Inert." And I said, "Ozzy's like, oh, hey man." I said, "Are you ready? Is there anyone out there?" He said, "Are you kidding? What, 25,000 people?" "Oh man, I always get nervous that no one will come to the show now." I'm like, "You sold 75 million records.
records. You are Ozzy Osbourne, they're gonna show up, you'll get 50,000 people at your funeral. Oh no, man, I'm depressed all day thinking no one's gonna come to the show. And then Cher goes like, Ozzy! He said, go! He like runs out there, ah! And then plays, but he thinks that no one's gonna show up. That's how humble that guy is. It's so fun hanging out with him and the Black Sabbath guys. They don't know they're rock stars. They just stand around in t-shirts and jeans like, be like, ah, Black Sabbath! Oh yeah, I guess that's who I am. What, on our record? Yeah! Huh, thank you. And then every time I've ever been with Ozzy and he meets someone, hi, I'm Ozzy. We know. I mean, it's incredible. Sorry, but I steal music and I give it to people. It is theft. And so years ago, I was in Sri Lanka and I meet a family. I'm staying with this family for a couple of days in central Sri Lanka in the mountainous region where they grow tea. And I meet the son. He goes, I recognize you. You're the guy in those bad videos. I said, yep. And so I'm hanging out with the kid. I said, play me the music you're into, man. And he plays me Sri Lankan death metal. I stole all his Sri Lankan death metal. And I like all this music on his laptop. And I give him, Misfits, Bad Brains, all these main ingredients. And I see the kid like hours later at dinner. And he comes out of his room after stewing in his new juices that I put on his laptop. And he's got this maniacal smile on his face. I go, why are we so happy? He said, thank you. I went, you're welcome. He said, the Stooges. Funhouse. Because I think the second Stooges album, Funhouse, I think every young person should hear at least 50 million times in their life. And so he's very happy. I said, you like it? He said, it's my favorite album. I said, put it there, partner. It's been my favorite since I was 20. And so at one point I encountered Iggy and I had to confess. I said, Iggy, I stole from you. He went, what do you mean, man? Your act? I went, no. And I told him the whole story. I said, I stole Funhouse and I gave it to a kid in Sri Lanka. Huge smile across his face. Oh, hey, Henry, that's great, man. That's fantastic. So you're in Sri Lanka and you thought of me? Henry, thank you so much. So did he like it? Was it rocking? Yeah? Okay. That's fantastic. I said, no, it's his favorite record. Henry, that you were thinking of me while you were traveling, means so much to me. Thank you so much. He's really humble, got that Midwest thing going on. Could have been an astronaut. And he's really impressive. And if you ever want to perfect your Iggy Pop imitation, because obviously you do, you need to spend a lot of time alone. A lot of time standing over a sink in a bathroom, multitasking, and looking at yourself in the mirror. And you need to get your upper lip to curl over your teeth so you can kind of affect just the way he forms words. And if you can get your left side of your lip to snarl just a little, you can kind of get the Midwestern twang of Ypsilanti, Michigan, right? But the main thing about your Iggy Pop imitation is to slow down your words towards the end of every sentence, so everything you say sounds profound. Yeah. And that's what he does. So like, rock and roll is, and everything goes, it's great. Oh, that's so smart. Anyway, so I told this to Iggy. I said, look, so I stole some music from you. He was very happy about it. So I said, don't I owe you $2.65 because the theft? He went, oh, no, that's okay. What do you think? I'm the drummer in Metallica? I'm kidding. Take it easy. But this is why I travel. This is why I ask questions. I'm looking for an upgrade. I'm looking to make things better. I'm looking to make my brain better. Because I won't take mediocrity, not on my watch, and I hope you won't either. And so here's one last wafer-thin story yet, and I swear I'm done with you. Oh, no, I know. You're adults. You've been sitting. The blood in your legs gone. It's not gone. It's up here now. The lifeless things you're sitting on, don't worry, it comes back when the blood goes back down your ass, and you're like, whose ass is this? It feels like someone else's. It's yours, and you'll have it back soon. So, a few months ago, in January, I was in Germany for the 80 millionth time, and I emerged from a gig in Frankfurt or Hamburg into Siberia, Northern Canada, Minneapolis cold. A cold you know very well. Unreasonable. Inhale, boogers freeze. Exhale, melt, freeze, melt, freeze, melt, freeze, melt. Everything sucks. I walked outside and it was like, ow, I'm stinging. And I'm walking towards my Euro Bon Jovi mobile and I see 4 frozen figures at the front, unmoving, like statues. I'm like, they're dead. And I go up, I go, are we alive? Checking for signs of life. One male turns around, face frozen.
Hello, Henry, thank you very much for the show. You talk way too long, but anyway, please just sign the autogram on the piece of paper in my frozen hand before I go told.
And so I snap the piece of paper away, and I take out my warm Sharpie, and I sign, "You crazy German person, find the warmth." I'm a doctor on this, Henry Rollins, and I hand it back. Then the other three turn around.
Thank you for coming out to the Bon Jovi Mobile before we died of hypothermia. Please to make the autogram on the piece of paper so we can leave and get blood circulating in our bodies if there's still time. I don't want to lose a limb to frostbite.
And so I sign everything, and they leave into the smoky darkness. I'm about to go onto the bus, and I look to my left, and I see a single small female, a mere slip of a girl, is standing alone. And she wants to talk to me without anyone else around. I get it. And so to keep her from having to walk towards me and maybe die en route, I run to her. So I run up to her, and I say something I think will be funny to help her warm up. So I said, "Hey, how about this crazy weather we're having? Need a surfboard?" And I think I snapped her out of her cold-induced coma. She went, "Duh!" And she started yelling at me. "Hello! I have taken 5 trains over 8 hours from another country. I am very nervous to talk to you. I have many things I need you to do, so you're going to do them." All right, fine. I said, "What am I doing first?" "You're going to do this." And she goes into her backpack, and she pulls out this piece of paper and unrolls it. It's like this long rectangle of paper with all the stuff written on it. And I said, "So what am I doing with this?" "You're going to stand, and I'm going to take a picture of you holding it." I said, "Okay, well, before I do that, I'd like to know, what are you doing with this?" "I'm going to give it to my friend." I said, "Okay, what's on the piece of paper?" Because I can't read it, and I don't want to be advocating for something I'm not behind. She said, "It says, 'Ha ha, I'm with Henry, and you're not.'" I said, "Okay, I like where this is going." Who are we addressing this to? "My best friend who wouldn't get on 5 trains over 8 hours from a different country to come with me." I said, "Let's do this." So she pulls out her phone, and I'm holding the book like, trying to jazz it up. And so she takes a piece of paper and it rolls it up, and then she goes, "And now you're going to sign this." I'm like, "Okay." "And now you're going to sign this." So she has me sign like 3 things, and then she puts all that away. She pulls out a manila envelope full of paper. "This is my writing. My email address is on the last page. If you hate my writing, please let me know. And if you want to throw it away without reading it, that's okay too. But you can write me an email if you want and tell me about my writing. The only reason I'm writing is I read your books and they gave me the bravery to write myself. I'm finding writing to be very good for me. And so I wanted to give this to you, and that's why I got on all these trains. And you can do whatever you want with it." And so I took the writing and I put it in my back pocket, and I said, "My young friend, I'm not going to make fun of you. I will read it. I would never write you would make fun of your writing. I wouldn't dare. I look forward to reading it." I meant every word of it. She said, "And now, I'm going to tell you something that's very hard to talk about, and I need you to shut up." And when she was 16, a couple of years before, she was raped by a guy she went to school with. And every day she'd go into the classroom and look at that guy, and he'd look at her and smile. And she told her teacher, she told her brother, she told her dad. No one believed her. And finally someone believed her, and the guy was removed from school. She's been having a really hard time with that, as you can understand. And she said, "I'm trying to make friends, but some people don't believe me, and sometimes when I make friends, it gets too friendly, and I freak out, and I'm that weird girl who screams and cries, who's obviously crazy. I like boys, boys like me, and I'd like to meet a boy, but I can't meet a boy because every time a boy comes up to me, I freak out, and I'm the weird girl who got assaulted, who screams and cries, and who hates boys. But I don't. I'm just so screwed up about what happened to me, so I took 5 trains over 8 hours from a different country because I want to know, I want you to tell me what you think of me." And I said, "Well, it's not for me to judge you, and I'm not a doctor, but let me ask you a question." I said, "Have you been told by your friends, your family, the doctor you are seeing, have you been told, 'Don't worry, everything's going to be okay'?" She said, "Yes." I said, "It's not going to be okay. And the only way to get better is to face the fact that what happened to you obviously should not have happened, but it's going to inform and color every human relationship you're going to have for the rest of your life. What have you been doing to yourself?" "I've tried to kill myself 3 times. I cut myself. I have eating disorders. I'm on medication." I said, "Okay,
okay, all of that is par for the course with PTSD. I said, humans are easy to traumatize. We're fragile creatures, not necessarily delicate, but we are fragile because we process information so well. We can denote changes in the viscosity of the air. We have 80 different definitions for love. We can speak in 5 different languages. We are really capable, and when you traumatize us, the trauma stays. So I said, look, what happened to you obviously should not have happened to you, but you're an intense and driven young person. You can't keep trying to kill yourself, because after 3 times, you will eventually get it right. So here's what, this century is not as new as it used to be, and you and I are stuck in it together, and we need to upgrade, and I want you to upgrade yourself so you never hurt yourself again. What happened to you is awful, but it's also a tool. If you learn how to put it in your backpack and walk just right, you can be an asset, because you can help someone else out who doesn't have the strength or can't find a way out. You can keep another young person from killing themselves, from you not killing yourself and dealing with what happened to you and keep on going. I said, happiness, you can have all the happiness in the world. You can meet a guy. All of this is possible. You just have to get your mind straight and deal with what's happened to you, and don't think you can drink it away, cut it away, or suicide it away. It's never going away, but it doesn't have to be the worst thing or the last thing that ever happened to you. You can have a life, and you can be an asset. You can be charismatic. You can be heroic. You can be helpful to someone who's had an awful thing happen to them, and they're hurting themselves for no good reason. You can be that person. I said, look, here's an elective. I'm just throwing this out to you. You do what you want with this. And I wrote down my email address. I said, this is my email address. The next time you want to cut yourself, write me. Next time you want to skip a meal, next time you want to kill yourself, write me an email. Take it out on me, yell at me, and I'll write you back. Might take me a couple of days, because I'm busy, and sometimes I lose internet access, but I will write you back. I said, you like music? Yes. I said, good. I said, look, I'm a thief. I steal music. How about I'll get your email address from the last page of your writing, and I'll steal some music, and I'll send it to you, and we can keep in touch if you want. Okay! And me and this extraordinary, bright young person, we keep in touch. And she has good days, and she has bad days. And sometimes she writes me up to 1 or 2 times a week, and things aren't going very well, but I'm doing better here, and I keep in touch with her. Why? Because this century needs an upgrade, and there's no prime minister or president who's going to do that. It's going to be that any improvement comes from the same place it's always come from, you and me, just being extraordinary, being helpful, being kind, being decent, and skewing towards decency and a morality that does not bend, no matter who wins an election, no matter who says what. You keep on being decent and never lower yourself to something that you find abhorrent. You don't make it go away by lowering yourself and writing screw you back to the person who wrote. You either send them an Al Green record or you find someone else to hang around with. And this is the only way things get better. I figure I share this century with this woman. I am glued to this woman like I'm glued to all of you. We owe each other an upgrade. We owe each other decency. And this is what I'm trying to do. Like I said, there's problems in the world. These are solutions. And these are ones that I sit in that bunk like all night waiting for this. All day long. Your city's fantastic, but I have no excuse to be here other than this. My whole day is a funnel waiting for me to be here. You are basically my big deal. And it sounds like I'm sucking up. It happens to be true. And so here's one last wafer thin thing, and then I swear I'll let you go. But look, tomorrow's the beginning of the weekend. We can have some fun. Okay, so here's the one wafer thing. You might have wondered how I'm able to talk for 2.5 hours at a high rate of speed, never once taking a sip of water. You notice it now. He's never once rehydrated. How do you do that? What are you, a freaking lizard? Kind of. What I do is I prehydrate and I rehydrate. I'm no doctor, but there's no way that's good for my internal organs. Here's why I don't drink water on stage. Am I thirsty? I'm a saltine on 2 legs right now. I am a taco. I am so dry on the outside. My blood is pudding. My heart's going, hold on a minute. Pulling pudding through it. And that's how thirsty I am. I'm basically dead on my feet, but here's why I wouldn't dare take a sip of water. I have a phobia. My phobia is if I bring water out onto the stage, it'll sit there going, Henry, I'm a drink of water. And I might be tempted to utilize it. And if I go for the bottle, I turn my back on you. And it's not that I don't trust you. I trust you incredibly. But I want the drink of water. As soon as I turn my back to get it, all of you go, he's going for the water. Go, 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 go. Drink slowly, like they can empty the Coliseum in 1.5 seconds. That's how well it was built. Exit, 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 exit. You could be out of here. By the time I swing around with the bottle, you're all gone. Like, no! I shouldn't have gone for the water. That's why I never take my eyes off you. I never stop talking. talking. I try never to say or I just try and keep talking to keep you pinned in your seat. Like in 9th grade, you probably never had this in biology. We used to put pins in frogs and pit them. That's what I'm trying to do with words and ideas. Keep you in your seat going, damn, shut up, my bladder, I'm having issues. I'm getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. Stop talking. That's why I never take a sip of water, because if you left me, my heart would break into 50 million pieces and I would not handle it very well. Thanks for enduring me. Good night.